Rody Brochacho, Logan.
So
Welcome to the freaking show, bro. We've been talking about this for a while. We've known each other for it's gotta be 10 years.
yeah, I'd say at least 10 years.
Yeah.
I was thinking about it last night, trying to figure out the exact time, but I can't remember.
Yeah, we go back. But I'm excited for this conversation because I have watched you grow a business in the security world. You've done some pretty interesting things and had some pretty interesting clients that I obviously, we don't know if we'll go into names, but you've done some riot security during some pretty shitty times with the news and everything along those sides. So I want to hear your perspective on those. And I'll be honest, you're one of the only fathers. There's very few fathers that I actually look at and be like, okay, this dude's raising men. And I feel you are doing it in such a way that not this alpha little kids, but you're just preparing them for life, and no matter what it is. And so I definitely want to get your perspective on fatherhood and raising a bunch of little minions that are all pretty close in age. So you're dealing with like this crazy, chaotic, just dad life of a bunch of boys. You just had a little girl, so you know that's going to change everything. Yeah, you guys have tried enough times and have knocked out the boys. So
yeah, I think we had 3 on purpose, and the last 2 were total surprises.
Yeah. So you're pumping out. You got yourself a little fire team, and you're raising them right. And so I want to just jump into it all, man. I want to talk business. I want to talk fatherhood, and you served your country for a little bit. We'll top on that.
Yep.
So before we get started, I always open us up as a platform for veteran and law enforcement companies to be able to send us product, to be able to give to guests for free. I want to be able to support the community however we can.
Oh, yeah.
So we actually have the War Machine, which is or Platoon Cigars. He was a Marine, got out, became a cop, got shot in the line of duty, and he's actually coming out here in a couple of weeks. And we're going to do the podcast on his alive day, the day he got shot. He's going to tell the whole story. And then we got C-State Coffee, Recon Marine, and local Bubba here. He's been on the show. Really good guy, real good buddy of mine. We're going to send you home with some. Actually, you're doing a real road trip from here. So
So it'll be perfect.
We'll have you loaded up with some caffeine and meth. So,
Well,
Logan, dude, let's jump right into it, man. Where are you from? And we'll just start there.
And so I guess starting at the beginning, I was born in Memphis, but we moved to Kentucky when I was about 5 years old.
Okay.
It was a big change for me. At that age, you're trying to figure out who you are. But we built a life there. I stayed there until I left for the Marine Corps when I was 21. So we ended up going back there after I got out.
Okay.
Circumstances just led to us getting back there. I never really planned to go back there. My wife's kind of a beach girl. But yeah, Kentucky's where I'm at currently. Who knows if I'll end up staying there forever, but yeah, that was kind of the beginning. Do you want me to go through high school and all that kind of stuff?
Yeah, if we want.
Kind of what led
Yeah,
to,
what was childhood like growing up in Kentucky?
I had a pretty normal childhood, 2-parent household, no massive trauma, no crazy, run-ins with the law. I was an idiot whenever I was a kid.
For sure.
Like we all were, but I think I just lacked purpose. I didn't really know who I was or what I wanted to be. And you can relate. Once you get in the Marine Corps, that kind of solves it for you. If you're that lost soul that really doesn't know who you are, they're happy to issue you an identity, and
real
you're
quick.
gonna be that kind of tool bag for the next few years. But yeah, I needed it. I tried all sorts of different things. I think I did Chinese delivery. I worked on cars. I did body work. I just did all sorts of small jobs. I was never going to go to college. I think, we talked about that yesterday. College isn't for everybody. It definitely wasn't for me.
Mm.
I couldn't find anything that would justify the cost. But yeah, the Marine Corps was kind of the first step in figuring out, who I was and getting some confidence. And I went in when I was 21, so I was a little bit older than a lot of the other guys. I actually went in on the buddy program with one of my best friends.
How did that go?
Dude, Did you have anybody in your platoon?
I didn't even know it existed until after boot camp or like toward the end when people were like, "Oh, I'm here with my boy," and then that's when I discovered the buddy program. I was like, "You guys came with people?" Like,
so they in order to help recruiting at the time, because when I went in, it was during the surge. They were trying to get a lot of people in. You could basically go into the recruiting office and they would guarantee you, I think they'd guarantee you a slot to where you're both going to boot camp at the same time, and then it's kind of on you afterwards. Like, they don't guarantee anything after that, but you can imagine how horrible the drill instructors are going to treat you once they figure out that you're your best friends. Like, they're gonna
totally imagine.
Yeah, they're gonna murder you over it. So we, believe it or not, we kept it secret the entire time.
Really?
Yeah.
So you knew? Do you have like a heads up? Did somebody prep you, or were you just like, "Yo, we're just not gonna say anything"?
My good friend Ross, he I think kind of foresaw the issues that were going to come out of it, and so we ended up. The only time we would really get together and talk was at the end of the day. We would get together and we would pray at night. Obviously, we really needed that, but the days were just so overwhelming at that point. But that was really the only time that we would even speak or acknowledge each other. And he was literally at the other side of the squad bay, so it worked out perfect. Just how we were kind of positioned. But if they would have caught on to it, like that would have completely changed the trajectory of our boot camp experience, because like it's bad enough.
Yeah,
they catch you. Like, we had a set of twins in boot camp.
Poor kids,
dude.
Those poor kids.
Brutal. And they were kind of nerdy and they weren't doing great. I mean, they're good guys. I liked them, but they would just absolutely kill these guys. They would snatch them out of the rack in the middle of the night, and they'd get them mixed up all the time. Every time one twin would screw up, the other one would pay for it. And they would do that to the guys on the buddy program too. So yeah.
Boot camp is. I really want to get a drill instructor on the episode. Like, I want to just sit down with one, because they're the most sadistic human beings on the planet, and it's so funny because the games they play, the mind fuck that is just every day. And it's hilarious because no matter what you do, you're done. And it doesn't matter if everything is done perfectly, you're still. And it's just how it is. And then when you like get out and then your time in the fleet or whatever, then you start meeting dudes that and like you're like, "Oh, I was in the drill field," and you're like, and they start telling you stories. You're just like, dude.
Yeah, and they have to be creative. So like. I mean, back in our dads and granddads' times, they could just beat you. Now, I don't know about now, but when I was in, they'd have to find other ways to do it. So you've got your entire week where you're just nonstop being PT'd in the sand, or having getting woke up in the middle of the night, yelled at, whatever. But on Sunday, you can go to church and then you can read your little letters. My dad would write letters. He wrote me a letter every single day that I was in boot camp. He would
really
every single day. Like,
that's pretty nice.
Yeah, that dude kept me going the entire time. I mean, he would send me Bible verses. He would tell me exactly what was going on at home. It was a big part of how I survived. I mean, my mom did too. So did a lot of people. That knew me, but Dad was, he was right there. So anyway, you can write, you can do all your letters and all that kind of stuff on Sunday. They put, everything goes in your footlocker. So Sunday would come, everybody, you would escape and go to church. Even the guys that were complete atheists would go to church.
Everybody is religious at boot camp.
That's
and
right.
You're in there with your little moonbeam flashlight, seeing this little light of mine. You're like, bro, I'm not getting screamed at for an hour. I'm going to church.
It's worth it just for the break. And we would go to the.
So you're a Paris Island Marine, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. We would go to the. What's the denomination that dances a lot and there's a lot of music, speaking in tongues. I can't remember. One of the denominations, just very kind of over the top.
Yeah.
Not a bad thing. Just very. It was a very happy environment to be in, and we would go literally just because you don't hear music when you're in boot camp. Like, there's no news, there's no phone calls. Like, you don't know what's going on. You don't ever hear music, and so we would go to this particular, because you got 5 different choices. You can go to Catholic or Baptist or whatever. But we would go just to hear the music, and then like the music thing, even getting a card that would like sing the the cards that have music. We would like huddle around at night and open those things up and like try to listen in. I think it was my mom sent me one of those like "Don't Worry, Be Happy" by Bob Marley or something.
Oh God,
dude, we would sit and we would huddle around that thing, and we'd just crack it open and try to get a listen. They caught us with it one night and just destroyed it right in front of me. But so after church they would come through. They would have everybody dump all their Foot Lockers in the floor. Now pick this up, pass it to the right. Now pick this up, pass it to the left, and then they just come through and start kicking your stuff all over, flipping your racks. And I mean, they did the same thing to you all, but they have to get creative. We had a sadistic one. You would be doing push-ups until you're crying and throwing up, and he would come by, he'd wipe the tear off your face, and he'd eat it, and he'd be like, "I got your soul." Yeah, like wild people are attracted to that type of, I guess, billet in the Marine Corps.
I don't think I ever, if I would have stayed in and got selected to be a drill instructor, I don't think I ever would have made it because I had zero bearing.
Yep, you'd laugh.
And I'd be laughing at just these little fat kids coming through boot camp and just having a field day with them. Like I would just be dying laughing.
I've thought
nonstop.
I've thought it too. I mean, and how many of your boys that you went through with we've all had the same conversation. Like, if I could go back through it now, knowing what I know, it would be completely different. Like, I would have so much more fun with it. I would be so much more belligerent, because when you're there, you can't comprehend how much of the indoctrination and all that kind of stuff it is. Like, you're so immature and numb to all of it, but once you kind of see behind the curtain, you're like, this is kind of funny.
I kind of looked at it like that from the beginning, like, because I've always been belligerent. I've always like crossed the line. I've always had the challenge. Like, I've never been one of those dudes like, "Oh, if drill instructor gets in my face, I'll fight." I've never been that dude.
No.
But I'm gonna fuck with them, and I'm gonna do things like and I know I'm gonna have like repercussions from it. But I was all like, I would just we had this little drill instructor, Staff Sergeant Barnes. He was probably like 3 feet tall, this little black guy. He had the biggest chiclet teeth. And so he was little, and this dude hated me. He'd stand on my wall locker to scream at me because he was so little. So he'd make me bend down
with the brim of the
and but he would walk by me, and I'd just look at him, and he'd look really quick, and I'd look away, and he'd be like, and he'd point, and I'd have to get down. And he'd be like, "You fucking eyeballing me?" And I'd be like, "Yes, sir." And he'd be like, "Oh, you are?" I'd be like, "Yes, sir. Come with me." And then it was like this game. Like, I was never gonna like bend or break. And bro, those dudes. This is the craziest thing. People don't believe me when I tell them this about boot camp. I didn't know how to disassemble my rifle and clean it until I graduated boot camp and got almost to the fleet, because I was so belligerent, and all these drill instructors had my number that when they would prepare for rifle maintenance and rifle drill, anything rifle, my job was to go straight to the quarterdeck, and I would just start hazing myself, and I would just be up there doing. And my rack mate, one of my best friends to this day, he knew my combo. So as they're like prepare for rifle maintenance, he would do his, he would do mine, he would set his up. All my shit would all be displayed, and I would just be on the quarterdeck just hazing myself the whole entire time. So when it came to like actually breaking down a rifle, I never learned it at boot camp. And people were like, "There's no way." And I'm like, I literally, on the rifle range, even in the rifle range, like when we would do any rifle maintenance, anything, they would just grab me. I would just empty my pockets, take my blouse off, start hazing myself, and they'd be like, "That's right, bitch." And I would just be up on the quarterdeck, and I didn't even know what the pins were, like nothing. And people find it fascinating, and they think I'm bullshitting, but I didn't know how to clean a rifle.
No, we had you in our platoon. Like, we had that dude. He was just a PT stud. Like, were you really good at PT?
Yeah.
Like,
they used to take me to all the new battalions that pick up every week or whenever they would graduate, and they'd get a whole new, like, all the squad. I was the recruit they would take to all the squad bays, and I would demonstrate how to get hazed on the quarterdeck. So that's where I would spend like every whatever, I don't even know what day it was, but like whatever day it was in that week, whenever new recruits were showing up, they'd be like, "Follow me." And dude, I just follow them. And those motherfuckers would like walk across parking lots, and I'd have to run all the way around because you could never touch the asphalt. So all over Paris Island, they just took me to every squad bay and hazed me every time new students came in.
We had a U. We totally had a U there.
Special.
Dude, I was the complete opposite. So, like, to even get in the Marine Corps, like I knew I wanted to, I knew that I was on such the wrong path, like that I needed to do something super hard and like challenge myself. Like it wasn't to the extreme where I was gonna be like, oh, I'm gonna be a SEAL. I just knew I physically couldn't do that. Like I physically was not capable at that time in my life of that path. But I was like, well, if I join conventional forces, like what's the hardest? What's the most, you know, you don't join the Marine Corps for any like benefit. It's so it's also so you can get the stupid tattoo and like say you
claim
did
the
it.
title, yeah.
Like because we're young and dumb.
Yep.
But I was like 270
Oh,
at the
shit.
time, just fat though, just like chewed bubble gum. Went into the recruiting office, Staff Sergeant Hamblin, like the top recruiter in the entire Marine Corps. Like he was in the Marine Corps Times or whatever for this. He was in Lexington, Kentucky. I meet this guy and like he is the poster child. Like dude's got the blues on and all the medals, and I'm looking right next door at the Navy and the National Guard, and I go up to him. I'm like, I want to sign up. He's like, he had my number. He knew how to motivate my personality type, and he was like, I can't remember exactly how he said it, but in a nutshell, is like, you're too fat. We don't need you. And this is during the surge. They absolutely needed dudes. We don't need you. And he was like kind of writing it off. Like I can't get this guy.
The Army will take you.
That's exactly what he did. He pointed right next door. And I'm telling you, man, these two National Guard soldiers, like they had to be wearing maternity wear. Like they had to be wearing maternity wear for it to fit. That's not a dig on the Army. Like we've got fat guys too, but like these dudes should not have been recruiters because
You're
used
representing
them.
the
Yes.
Army in National Guard. Yes.
Yeah, he used them. He used them as a weapon against me. He's like, dude, go next door. Like they got you. And I looked over there and I saw that. I was like, no. And so, like he knew exactly what to do to get me motivated. I left. I think 7 months later, I basically for 7 months had this crazy CrossFit guy like murder my dad paid him to personally train, and he murdered me and my buddy physically. Like we just every day, like throwing up, like just push-ups till you throw up, like all this CrossFit stuff. Like I couldn't do a single pull-up. So
Really?
like starting at that stage, like I was your typical like little fat kid, never done anything. Running, I'm still horrible at running. I've got tiny like short midget legs and these long arms. So I'm the worst at running that you could be. So my run time would consistently be at like 28:30 on the 3 mile. Like that's like like what, 30 seconds below failing. And it stayed that way. And I would like die to get it. But anyway, he did all that for 7 months. I lost 70 pounds, came back. I was at 190. Once I was in boot camp, skinny, just like looked like a skeleton. I don't look good at 190. I don't know why that sounds heavy, but I have this long torso, so it's just kind of weird. But I looked like a concentration camp victim, and but I was still overweight. It's all just in how I'm built. I've got this like all my weight's held in this super long torso. I'm like a tall midget.
Okay.
Yeah. So they put me through all that, and it's like boot camp. I tried to disappear because I was already, I didn't know who I was, and I had all these, like I was the fat kid. And so the only thing that would make me stick out is I had these glasses that were like this.
Oh, you had the BC.
I should have brought some in today. I was the only one on the entire island that could not get the BCGs made on the island. So I was the only one that could keep his actual glasses for a few weeks. So that made me a target. Anyway, they're like, your eyes are so screwed up that, you get your own glasses. Like, so even drill instructors from other platoons would come mess with me. So they finally get my BCGs like halfway through boot camp, and they're like, Flynn, we're going to take away your expert badge because you have a fucking ACOG on your face. I'm like, thanks. Like, they would take my glasses off. They would like catch my MREs on fire with my glasses using the sun and like laugh at me while they're burning my food. Like just stuff like that. And so that was really the only thing that made me
God.
stick out. And yeah.
You gotta love the Marine Corps, bro. Like, if you think you're a stud and don't have any insecurities, join the Marine Corps.
Yeah, they'll fix it.
I watched two dudes get in a fist fight during a uniform inspection once because one friend pulled the nose hairs off of his boy. It was like, fail, and yanked out, and they got into a full-blown fist fight right there. Like, I didn't know I had giant nostrils till I joined the Marine Corps, and then I was like, apparently that's a thing.
They'll tell
Yeah,
you.
dude, my buddy had like he had a birth defect, and he's got like a little notch on the back of his head. It's like a shelf, you know. It's just, I don't know what the fuck. It's just how he is.
Yeah.
Bro, those drill instructors, we'd be marching, and a drill instructor from like across the island be like, what the fuck is wrong? And then they would just like swarm them. And it, like, even then, like, we were rack mates, but we weren't best friends then because we met at boot camp. And I would just be like, oh man, this poor kid. Like, they were ruthless. You do not know your insecurities until you go into the military, and then it is just, and then it's exploited, and then you just pound it. That's why it's like you either build tough skin, or you're like, oh yeah, I guess that's how it is. Like, can't change it. But
yeah, it makes you who you are. It really does. If you're someone like me who really needed it, like it, just the experience of going through that, and like,
oh, for sure,
figuring out what you're capable of, and facing some actual adversity, like that's worth it in the end. There's nothing better than having to kind of face all that hardship. When we get into parenting later, like that's kind of what I take with me into parenting. Like, bottom line, make them do hard things, because I had hard stuff to do when I was a kid, and I've suffered bullying because of my crazy glasses and all that kind of stuff. But I'm trying to constantly make that a part of our kids' lives, because I can tell how beneficial it is when you're an adult having experienced that stuff. It's like number one.
Well, now we live in such a coddle bubble world where everything is just, everybody just wants to be, safe and easy and secure and not struggle and not get outside your comfort zone. Yep. And I feel a lot of parents our age, like, that's how we're kind of shifting into that. And then at the same time, then your kids follow right in suit. But then you have people like yourself, like us, how we parent. It's, hey, you're going to know what stress is. You're going to know what pain feels like. You're going to know that pressure and timelines and things like that. And then it's like you watch your kids develop, and it's like, oh, then when something's handed to them, they're like, and then they thrive right through it, and they don't even hit a speed bump. It's just part of life for them. Yep. And you're like, okay, cool. And I personally, like, I'm so torn on the military of if I had sons, if they wanted to join, and I want to get into this later. But I also feel at the same time, if you don't do college in this country, I feel everybody should serve 2 years, like a lot of other countries do, just because of that. I mean, bro, I went from living in upstate New York. I think we had one black kid in our whole school, couple of Mexican, and then now I'm living in some kid from Corpus Christi, Texas, some gangbanger. It is my rack mate. So you get exposed to so many different people and cultures and religions and ethnicity. Everything is like, the military is such a melting pot of everybody from across the country. I mean, kids were in there. There were drug waivers. I mean, there was kids that got offered, like, hey, you're going to jail or join the military. So then now you're dealing with those kids. You had we had Indians that were rival tribes that hated each other, reservations that fought each other, were in the same platoon, gang members. Dude, there were so many different people in just walks of life. And so then you get to learn, you got some hillbilly from Louisiana is now dealing with, has a rack mate from upstate, New York or whatever. And so now they're having to learn how to deal with each other. It does a lot. The military, I feel, is a very positive thing, but then at the same time, it's like we all drank the Kool-Aid thinking 9/11 was this terrorist attack, and there's weapons of mass destruction. And it's like, now we all know is all a fucking lie. So like, I'm torn over it. I feel like we all got bamboozled in a bit, but it would be tough, man. It'd be tough, but
It's a tale as old as time, though. I mean, every
For sure.
every generation, is gonna face it. It's like the government's gonna constantly have to figure out new ways to manufacture patriotism in a whole new
Absolutely.
generation of lost young men that want purpose, and they successfully did it to
They
us.
did
I
it.
mean, I bought into it like hook, line, and sinker. Like,
Hmm.
give me a Toby Keith CD and an American flag, and let's take on all the terrorists of the world. And I think we're there again. Like,
Hmm.
we're kind of back in that same rhythm we keep going back to. But you even look at politics today, like who the guys like us that fell for it all last time, we're the ones that want nothing to do with it this time. And it's like your really older generation or the kids underneath us that are still kind of like they've got rose colored glasses on towards the whole thing, and you can't blame them because we were there.
Yeah, 100%. It's not their fault. They see the memes and they see all the cool military pages and they see all the special forces and the videos and the cool content. And it's like, I get it, man. It's just I'm so now it's but then now you see everything that's going on political wise, like globally, and it's like all these vets are like, what the fuck are we doing?
Yep.
Why are we here? Why are we supporting this? Like, why are we getting back into a whole nother just bullshit war? Hopefully it doesn't get to that. But it's like what and then now you see our generation that bit into it. Now we're all like, fuck this. Don't do it. Don't do it. Like
If
not
you
worth
can't
it.
explain to me the strategic objective of what we're doing here, I can't get behind it. And I think early on, I didn't really care. Like, I'm just here
No.
for the violence, man. And
Yeah.
and I can respect that. Like, I got buddies that wanted to go get into the whole Ukraine thing as contractors. Like, I'm from the contract world, not the overseas stuff. But like, I'm with a lot of those guys all the time in the SF community and the SEAL community. All those guys that are constantly being recruited for that stuff, and I can respect the dude that's like, this is my occupation, this is what I'm good at. I'm just here for the violence. I don't necessarily agree with you, but I can respect that that's your outlook.
Hmm.
When you start coming at me with this whole like we're fighting for freedom and all these ideals and things, like that's when I'm like, all right, dude, whatever you say. Like if you need to like delude yourself into thinking that there's some higher purpose to this, that's cool, but I like don't expect me. You can miss me with that. Like I'm not.
Yeah.
I've already been there and done that.
Yeah.
I don't want to.
Like you had me at, hey, I'm just here for violence. Cool. I respect that.
Yep.
Like, yo, dude, I
Roger.
knew dudes. I had a dude in my platoon that he deployment hopped. Like as their deployments were coming out,
Yep.
he just unit hopped and
They need it.
stayed. I mean, this dude was a lance corporal. I mean, he looked like Chesty Puller. He was fucking stacked, had Purple Heart. I mean, dude, this guy had everything.
Yep.
That's what he lived for. But that was back then, and we thought we were fighting a different person. But so I can respect that dude. It's like, yo, I'm just here for violence and this is how I'm bred and cool, I get it. But the same with you. If they're like, this is because we're fighting for our freedom. It's like, what the fuck? Like,
Wake up, bro.
yeah, no. I mean, just call a spade a spade. Like if you just want to go to war, cool, do your thing. But if you're gonna sit here and pitch me like, oh hey, we need to fight for our allies, but our allies aren't doing anything, and they're the ones pulling us into this, that's where I'm like, eh. And I get it. Like right now, there's so much. Nobody knows what the fuck's going on.
Yeah, I honestly,
I can't even speak on the topic of like this Iran
that's the
Israel
right
shit
answer.
because I don't know Trump's angle. To me, right now, it doesn't make sense. Like I don't see. But then now they're calling for peace. I'm
Is he
trying
playing
to,
4D chess like everyone says?
Yeah,
Or is he crazy? Like, who knows?
and oh, he's always 10 steps ahead. He's the smartest person. But like
I hope.
the math isn't mathing for me right now. But at the same time, I'm not educated enough. Like I'm trying to detox because I start getting pulled into that shit. Then it starts consuming, and so I've learned enough. Like when things start popping like this, I'm like, I'm out. I'm not scrolling. I'm just because it doesn't do anything for my soul. It doesn't do anything for me. Period. Except for worrying, figuring out the next step, trying to see what the next play is, and it's like that's not a healthy way to live. But right now, from what I see and putting together, it's like, are we setting the stage? I have questions and I have so many of them. So it's like I don't want to dig into it, but it's just there's a lot.
What's called growing up? I mean, I think the biggest thing that I've realized is I don't need to have an opinion on everything.
Mhm.
Like, and I definitely don't need to argue strongly for an opinion that was formed based on incomplete information. Like sometimes the answer is just shut up.
Yeah.
Like sometimes I can talk too much.
Yep.
And I think that's a really humbling experience once you've figured out that your entire reality has been a lie multiple times, all these stances that you've held like so closely to. Once you're kind of disillusioned by that and you kind of grow out of it, I think that you can be a more tempered, in control human of how you interact with people, because you're just more in tune with the fact that you don't know everything. That's a pride issue.
For sure.
Like it's a total pride issue, and I suffer from it. Like I get so passionate about so many things because I'm always digging into stuff because I need to know the truth. But like you, I think a detox is in order for most of us.
It's just healthy.
It's not adding anything to your existence.
What it does add is stress and anxiety for me personally.
Right. That's right.
And I start worrying and fixating on some dumbass politicians that don't give a shit about us. They're none of their decisions benefit us, and so it's like, okay, like whatever's going to happen is going to happen. And I feel if you do get consumed into the news, the media, social, all that shit, you end up at these protests. You end up flying flags and on a street corner pissed off, like thinking you're going to make a difference. Yep. And that's the path that you go down, or you're fist fighting a dude in traffic because you're so worked up over Ukraine and Russia and Iran. And it's just like, for what, you know? And so as I get older, it's like, I see myself start to like, what the fuck? I start getting in. I'm like, okay, I'm getting pulled in. Mm-hmm. I don't care. If we go to war, I've done my time. I'm 40. I'm aged out. They could draft all they want. Yeah. I'm good. And so that's where now it's like, I don't worry about it, and I get it. I catch some shit sometimes because people are like, what do you think about this? And I'm like, I don't know. Like, I got into a huge fight with a chick like last year. The year prior, I was doing like a 30-day or 60-day detox off my social. She's like asking me all these political shit. And I was like, I have no idea, ma'am. I was like, I don't know what you're talking about. She's like, you're going to sit here and call yourself this. And I'm like, I don't call myself anything. You asked me who I voted for. And that's just the side of the lesser of two evils that I picked. Yeah. And she's like, you have to have an opinion on what's going on. And I'm like, I don't even know what's going on. And then that really triggered and like set in with me. I'm like, God, they do control us, because yes. I'm over here just eating my churro dessert, fucking enjoying life with a buddy of mine. Like, we're out of town just having dinner. And this woman's going full, like she went straight Trump on me, like Trump, like hardcore Republican me, because I didn't have, and I was like, ma'am, like, I don't know what the fuck you're talking about because I'm not watching anything. And she's just, you have a podcast and you're going to sit down and tell me you don't have an opinion on this? And I'm like, yes. And she couldn't wrap her head around it that I didn't have an opinion on these. I'm like, I'm not educated on it. I don't have an opinion on it. I'm not even on my phone. I haven't been on my phone in a month. And she's just like, I don't believe you. You just support the left. And I'm like, and my buddy's looking at me dying, laughing. He's like, bro, like, this woman only knew. And I'm like, I'm fuck the government. That's where I'm at.
Yeah, basically.
I am, none of them.
They don't care about you.
They don't. And that's what I kept telling her. I was like, man, I'm straight down the line of fuck both sides. I'm not picking a side. I'm going to vote for the lesser two evil and what goes off my moral beliefs and common sense. Doesn't mean it's like he's the savior and we're gonna be in this golden era again. It's just that's just the way I was gonna go, and these are the motherfuckers they presented to me. This is how I went. But she just, dude, batshit crazy on me, and I was just like, and so that made me really realize, like, okay, it all comes down to the media and our news, and that is what is dividing everything. And if they keep us stirred up like a couple of anthills that we kick, and we're all fighting each other, they just do whatever they want.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. While they steal your dollar's value, and it's
paying 30-something% on tax. Like, why aren't we bitching about that? But instead, we're protesting like ICE, removing illegals from our country, and it's like, why the fuck aren't we all coming together and burning down cities? I'm not inciting violence. Disclaimer. Why the fuck aren't we protesting how we protest against some illegals? Why don't we all come together and protest this 30% motherfucking tax that we have no problem paying on everything? I make my own money, I gotta pay tax. I spend my own money, I gotta pay tax. I save my money, I gotta pay tax. But meanwhile, the media goes, Trump, orange man, bad. And then now we're burning down cities over that, because as long as they keep us fighting each other, we can never band together and be like,
That's right.
hey, fuck you. This is what we want as a nation, as a country, because we're so consumed over whatever the agenda is that they're pushing next. Like, that's the chapter I'm at in my life, where now I'm sitting back like, look at these idiots. Like,
well, if you look into and we'll get into it later on kind of some of the stuff that I do, but like if you get into the unconventional warfare playbook, like that every special operations group in the U.S. or every branch uses, the playbook's kind of similar on the unconventional warfare. You've got the information operations, and when you do an IO campaign and you're putting information out, it's all meant to divide and just create chaos. And like, you can look at the playbook at how to topple governments and how to disrupt things, and it's like, well, you apply the same logic, and they're literally doing it to us every day. Like, they get us all riled up about like each niche thing. Like, we're sitting here talking about suppressors and short-barreled rifles because that's what we like in this bill, and then there's the abortion people, and then there's the people that are about drugs and legalize this. Everyone's fighting over all these like stupid little crumbs in these bills when they're just stealing from you. Like, they're literally stealing your children's birthright behind the scenes.
Yes.
While you fight over, you got the purple-haired screeching person versus the guy in the cowboy hat and the red shirt. You know, they took our jobs. Like, it's just total nonsense.
If we could figure that out as a country, where, cool, you could rock your purple hair. If you want to go have your kid chemically castrated, doesn't bother me. You know, go do your thing. We have our beliefs. We have what we want to do and protect. We need to get ourselves on track, pointed in a direction as a whole, but it'll never happen and then these people that are, hey, the media, it's the media, but then they're so consumed by it.
Still watching it,
and everything that's being fed on this is complete lies. And you see these people, and it's sad, man. Like, no kings. Like, so now you know what a king is, but you can't tell me what a woman is.
Well, and
basic shit like that.
You guys were like dictating that my kid should be taken from me literally 2 years ago because we wouldn't wear masks or take an experimental drug, and now this year you're upset. It just doesn't. The math doesn't math. Like, you can't be hypocritical about literally, and our conservatives do it too. Like, I'm not a Republican. I have conservative views. Mm-hmm. Very libertarian conservative views. But like, dude, I actually work for mostly Democrat politicians. A lot of them are great people. I've worked for some Republicans. I don't see a lot of difference in how things are kind of managed on either side. Same thing with the media people. Like, it's all one big mess that you're being completely distracted by.
100%. It's all false flags. And it's one of those things that we're fighting over this, but these politicians are all together and they're all laughing and they're all cool. Let's just pass these bills. Whatever. Anyways, fuck the government.
Yeah, we could go down that rabbit hole for like 3 hours, but I'm with you. Like, moving on.
So, military.
Yeah, so
if you get out of boot camp, I mean, how long did you do?
So, got out of boot camp, went on to SOI. I signed up as infantry, but then my B billet was security forces. So I'll tell you a funny story. So I meet my wife while I'm in security forces school out in Virginia, and like the 3-minute, like the quick version of this whole story is, I do the typical idiot Lance Corporal thing that never works out. Meet my wife at church. She had a rough past. I had a rough past. We both end up in church in Virginia. I had gone with some friends that we were staying with over the weekend. Like, all my buddies would go out and get hammered at Va Beach and get arrested. And like, I just wanted, me and my buddy Pete, Pete Vergara, he was like my battle buddy there, Puerto Rican dude. Like back to the culture thing. Like I never met a Puerto Rican guy. This guy's like my best friend while we're in. And we were like Bubba and Forrest, dude.
Okay.
Like we were like this. And that dude was so good to me. But anyway, we're staying over the weekend with some friends. I meet my wife at church, and I see her. I'm like, this is the most beautiful person I've ever seen in real life, like not on TV. And she comes up and starts talking to me, and I'm looking at him like, what is happening right now? What is going on? Anyway, she talks us into going to her Sunday school class. She was down from New York visiting parents. We go do that. A week later, we go to Busch Gardens. 2 months later from there, we're saying I do on the beach. Like that, dude. Just instant, like,
Really?
and here we are 15 years later. The best circumstance that could have ever happened. Like,
Good for you guys.
like the once in a lifetime
Yeah.
type thing. And that doesn't happen for everybody. It really doesn't. Like some people find someone and they make it work. And I believe everyone can. It's how much work you're going to put into it. And we've definitely gone through rough times. But anyway, I meet her. My entire command is going nuts. Like they're like, you're not getting married. Like you're an idiot. You met some chick like on the weekend, like every other idiot does, and you're trying to get married. Like she's scamming you, blah blah blah. So I had to go get like 20 signatures. I had to go talk to the chaplain and my command and all this kind of stuff.
Yup.
We finally get married. When you're in security forces school, so you can either go to Fast Company, which is like the joke is fake ass SEAL team.
Okay,
Woody
yeah.
was that.
Mm-hmm.
And it's Fleet Anti-Terrorism Security Team. So and they talk it up like you're gonna be on like this high speed SWAT team. You're gonna do all these top down clears of buildings and lots of CQB. All true, but you're never gonna use it because they're never gonna deploy you to do anything besides reinforce embassies. The one exception would be like the Benghazi situation.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't end up using Fast anyway.
Nope.
Like those guys, I think were ready to go, and they sent somebody else, or they didn't send anybody. But anyway, you can do that, or if you have a really clean background, you can do this other thing, and it's escaping me now. Pete went on to do that. They wanted me to go do this other thing, which is basically you're guarding nuclear subs during the refuel, defuel process, and you're guarding like all the nuclear weapons sites with the subs. And I'm probably not describing it perfectly, but I didn't do that job, so I don't know. 1 second. But if you qualified for a TSSCI clearance because you had a clean record, you could go do that job. They wanted guys to qualify for that job because they couldn't get enough clean guys to go do it. And so half of security forces would go this way to Fast, half of them would go do this refuel defuel thing. The catch is the refuel defuel is up in Bangor, Washington, or Kings Bay, Georgia. Like kill yourself, rain all day, like sit in a skiff waiting to die, Washington, or Kings Bay, which is just a warmer climate, but same thing. Or you can go be on this high speed, like SWAT team, fake ass SEAL team thing. There was one catch in all of it that saved me. And this is this moment when I stuck to my guns is probably a very pivotal moment in my life. And the Marine Corps, I'm sure, is pissed about it. I figured out that if you had an objection, or they gave us like a questionnaire or something. If you objected to the use of nuclear weapons or proliferation of nuclear weapons, you could not go guard nuclear weapons.
Oh, okay.
So me and my wife were living in Chesapeake, or we're planning on living in Chesapeake, and I don't want to go do that job. And I want to be on this cool, like, fake ass SEAL team. And I just marked the answer. No, I don't believe nuclear weapons are a good thing. I don't want to guard those. And dude, like that set into motion this whole thing. Like I had to go put my right hand up. Like they tried to like just scare the shit out of me. Like we're gonna
Really?
if this is not true, we're gonna prosecute you. And I was like, like, why is it so crazy to you that I don't believe we should all have weapons that can destroy like, I just stuck to it. And,
Yeah.
I do believe it. Like, it's not a lie.
Mm-hmm.
I definitely use it to my advantage though. And they were like, fine, you're going fast, get out. Like, that was it. So I go through training. I continue on with like, you're just training for like a year straight.
Yeah.
You learn all these like different weapon systems, because like we use the auto shotguns, and we get a lot more pistol training than anyone else in the Marine Corps. Like, that's not super cool, it's just a fun fact. So like, we would have to do all this different stuff. Continued on with that, ended up having a back injury. And once I had that back injury, my ability to continue doing the things that were required of me just wasn't happening. Like, we couldn't figure out if I was going to get better from it. So I have a lower spine issue. I also have degenerating discs. But we couldn't quite figure out how to get any relief for it. So they put me on all these pain meds, and like, I'm doped up half the time. And they eventually came to me and they're like, we're just going to push you out of the Marine Corps. I was like,
Really?
okay. I happened to hate everything about my existence at that time. Like, I wasn't living in the barracks, but I would have to come back, and like, I drove an hour and a half to and from work every day, both each one and an hour and a half each way.
Really? That's rough.
I would have to come in on the weekends and like clean up other people's disasters, because all the guys want to go out and get drunk on the weekend, and someone would get arrested. So it was just like boot camp all over again. So by that time I was so fed up, I was like, okay. And I start going through this whole process. They stick me out. I'm doing, they stick me in Norfolk, and I'm actually doing security clearance stuff, like on the computer, like doing your check-in, check-out for your DFAC, or not your DFAC, your JPAS and EQUIP, all those programs. But then I get pushed out, and it's like, okay, what now? Who are you going to be now? Like, your whole thing was to be a Marine. Like, your whole life was set out in front of you. And that was a struggle, because you're newly married, you have no money, you have no direction, your entire identity is kind of crushed at that point. And it wasn't a good mental spot to be in. We ended up having to move to Kentucky because my dad hooked me up with an insurance job. I studied like hell for that. It's a very tough test. But I did insurance for a couple of years, and like, would you buy insurance for me? Like, I'm walking up to these doors, like shaved head, like just this young Marine that got out, and it just didn't fit. Like, I was miserable, and my marriage was suffering. And that, have you ever been to that point? Like, once you got out, did you have this transition time where you're trying to figure out what civilian life is going to be like, and you're still depressed that you're not in anymore? Like, did you deal with that?
I didn't personally, because I got out and I went straight to Afghan on a contract.
Yeah,
so
that's right.
Then I came back, and that's when I started my executive security company. And but then it was weird for me. Like, I deal with guys from all the years of dealing with wishes and talking and hearing like their transition period. I feel like I never gave myself that. I never even had a break. Like, literally, I was getting recruited right before I even got out. I already had like offers, so it was an easy transition for me. Yep. But my struggle came later on when I was like, cool, we're doing it on our own now. And so instead of me working for somebody, that transition was like, all right, I'm walking from everything we've built for somebody else and doing our own. That's when shit was like, fuck. Like, that's when reality set in for me. It was years later of like, okay, I'm no longer a worker bee. I'm going to do this ourselves and make that jump. But no, I was pretty fortunate when I got out. Just had everything lined up and rock and rolled straight from the
I mean,
go.
It's tough when you don't have a purpose, especially as a man and as a husband. Like, there's nothing worse. Like, it
For sure.
I mean, there's things that are worse, sick kids, that kind of thing. But it really kind of destroys who you are if you can't find something to latch onto, and that doesn't have to be a job. My Christianity helped with that at the time, but it still wasn't I wasn't as mature in that, so it wasn't fulfilling it either. But a buddy of mine was actually the guy that I went in on the buddy program to boot camp with. His mom, for some reason, we were talking, and she was like, "Well, why don't you get into, you're constantly paranoid. You have all this military background. You have a great resume, at least on paper. Why don't you get into something that uses all those skills if you hate insurance so much?" And so I did. I went out to a school out in Colorado. At the time, it was like the Harvard, their claim to fame was it was the Harvard of bodyguard schools. And you learn like crazy stuff out there. Excuse me. You do, I mean, everything from like handwriting analysis to statement analysis, and those are very, very niche things. But think about it: if you're working a stalker case and you're getting letters from these crazy people, like teaching you how to analyze where the threats are in the statements that they're making.
Okay.
We would do like mock stalker programs, trying to do investigations on like who's actually going to go after the client. We do driving schools, shooting packages, a lot of handgun stuff. Like, this was back when Instagram wasn't around and no one really knew how to shoot. Yeah. These people knew. Like, they put us through some very rigorous handgun skills, like especially close in work for EP, covering a client, moving them while you're shooting. But yeah, so I did that for 3 months, broke it up in a couple different stages, came back, and figured out that that's kind of the direction I wanted to go. The problem is, and I would tell this to anybody that starts out in this career, and you may be able to, you could definitely chime in here and tell me your experience with it, but it took me years to build a client list. And I'll say, like, there's certain things in this life I'm truly talented at, and know what I'm talking about. One of those is I know how to be a husband. Like, even if I'm not good at it all the time, like, I know what I'm supposed to do. Mm-hmm. Like, I know the principles of it. I know when I'm screwing it up. Like, I know EP work. Like, I know how to be one-on-one with a client. That's really where I thrive. It's that one-on-one solo practitioner type of protection. And I was good at it. I built a clientele off of it. I built a resume off of it. I would get tons of repeat business just for me as a solo contractor. But what I couldn't do was I could not make enough money or stay busy enough, even at that level, to make a full career of it. Yeah, so this took years. I mean, sure. Doing the contract thing. How was your experience there?
I wasn't doing the executive on like the individual like you were. Yeah. We went, more, I was working, it started out environmental, and that opened up a whole different world as far as clients in these big giant companies, because they're getting fined millions of dollars for these environmental tortoises and fucking prehistoric shrimp and a bird and all of that stuff. So that's what kind of opened the door to it all. And then that helped lead into these guys that own these companies where, yep. Hey,
that's the progression.
We see what you're doing for our businesses. What can you do for my family? And yep. Hey, we have this event going on. Are you open to that? So, and I never said no to anything.
No, you can't.
It was absolutely, what do you need? And so, I mean, that's what led one night we're watching a crow build a nest on a tower, and I'm going in and trying to remove this thing in the middle of the night, to standing on the red carpet with some celebrity and my wife standing next to me like, what the fuck are we doing here? I'm like, I don't know, just smile.
And you got imposter syndrome the whole time. I don't belong here.
The whole time. But yeah, it just started, it was just networking. And it's just showing your true value to those people, especially people with money.
Yep.
They want to see that you have a value. And if you could offer them anything or make their life easier, safer, more comfortable, stress-free, that's all you have to do to these right. clients. And then at least that's what, in my world, it was
add value.
add the slightest bit of value. Have the car running with the AC on, ready to go, cold water.
Common sense stuff.
Just little shit like that, which you've seen it. I'd have guys that work for me for years. It is like, bro, like it's the little things. And then, but like your client should never have to, when they walk out, everything's ready to go. And I'm not talking like high-end celebrity clients. I'm just talking dudes that are just worth a lot of money. Like you would walk by them 1,000 times and not even know who they were. To me, it's like, if I can make this guy's life where he thinks about nothing. He's on autopilot. He's on his phone. He's making calls, and everything is taken care of from point A to point B. Then that's a recurring. That's a customer that is happy. If they don't have to tell you anything, some of them are talkers. Some of them don't even want you to talk to them. That's another thing that takes a while, is reading these clients and not just coming in there and just jabbing away. Read them, feel them out. So that's where it kind of helped me grow, because I can mirror and match. I think those are the best in that field. They're guys that can mirror and match a client really quick, and especially your first engagement with them, knowing their personality. Is this some just rich trust fund kid, or is this a guy that's built wealth from nothing and now he's got his grandkids set up and he's just happy and wants to talk your ear off? Like that was the difference for me. I felt it helped a lot. Just secure. And then you get a phone call or you get an email. Hey, you worked for a family buddy of mine. He said you did a great job. Like, are you interested in this? Yes. When do you need me?
Yeah. I mean, this business, what I always tell people is like, I can't miss phone calls, because each phone call, like I've literally had phone calls that turned into multi-million-dollar deals.
Sure.
Like one phone call led to that. I mean, one client leads into 6 others, because they're going to tell you about the other ones. And once I bought into the company and then took over full ownership of it, like I really leveraged all of my personal clientele into that. And that's when it really took off, because I had the bandwidth at that point to bring other agents on and that kind of thing. And you really, it's going to be there if you do a good job, because they tell everyone. Like every wealthy guy I know, they have a guy for everything, and they're going to refer you out constantly to their friends. But it's just like you said,
so tight knit too. I mean, especially the big wealth guys, they all have their big wealthy dudes, and they just share everything.
Yeah.
And so it's like, oh, I got this guy who's great with my wife and kids. I didn't have to worry once. Oh, let me get his number, and then it's just. Now you're doing the whole block and all these guys, and it comes down to just trust and make their life as simple as possible. Helped so much.
Yeah, and you'll get into weird situations with these people. Think about, like, everyone looks at what we do as this, like, it's similar to how they look at anyone that's on social media or anyone that has any sort of online presence. It's like, you're just seeing this cartoon character version of what I am. You don't really see what goes into it. Not as far as hardship and all that. Yeah, that's there, but you really don't see the boring stuff. Like, there's so many times, like I've only been in violent encounters a few times around clients, but I've had to like hold their bag while they like take forever doing something ridiculous. Like there's so many of those just stupid situations that you've got to be able to do and deal with and be miserable through. And it's not all going to be sexy. It's like you starting out doing the environmental thing. Like when I was starting out, I worked on the border for oil companies. I was escorting survey pipeline guys when they were being harassed on some of these pipelines. Like I've done every type of security you can think of, and it's not glamorous. Like sometimes you're sitting in a car listening to podcasts for 12-hour shifts for 5 years. Like that may be what it looks like. I mean, you're usually making decent money while you do it, but it's not all red carpets and
it's
glamour.
It's really not. I mean, you're on a 12-hour shift with a client, and you're walking out of and then he runs into an old friend, and then you're holding all his luggage, and they sit there and talk for an hour and a half, and you're just standing there like, oh my fucking God, the car's running. Like, can we get the hell out of here? Yep. That type of shit. And then you get in the car, and then they're like, actually, I got some buddies of mine are in town. You're just like, roger that.
And they're paying you for the trouble. That's why I constantly, like, if you're the type of person that can't can't like thrive in the chaos. I don't think I was always naturally good at that, but it's like anything, like you just inoculate to it. You're just constantly inoculating yourself. And if you're that type of person that has to have planning and schedules, like that is the worst type of person for this specific part of business. Now, I will say this: my business partner, he's the opposite of me in literally every way.
Okay.
It is like the perfect marriage because I can't write a spreadsheet to save my life. I can't do math in my head, let alone on paper. Like, there's so many things business wise that he can do. He booked all my flight and all my stuff, you know, everything to get out here and all those things that I'm good at as far as with a client and interpersonally. You know, the planning and the detail stuff I'm not always great at. Yeah. And so when you're kind of a solo guy, you're kind of having to manage all that stuff on your own. And I'd say that's, you know, that's difficult. That's difficult to do. And you need to be able to manage the stress of that.
Oh yeah.
And live in it.
Well, especially because people with money, they live in a different world.
Yep.
Time doesn't matter to them. Resources don't matter to them. And I'm talking dudes with wealth that most people can't fathom. They just
the real ones.
Real wealth. I mean, dudes are rolling up in multi-$100-million yachts, and that like.
Yeah, this is not the purple Lamborghini crowd.
Yeah, this isn't. Like, I'm not talking like YouTubers that are making or some OnlyFans model. I'm talking where dudes are blowing $100,000 a night on a room for 3 months or at a house and like shit like that. And so they don't. No matter what you plan, no matter what you have lined up, it does.
You're be right.
Yeah, it'll be 3 a.m. I want to go to the bar. You're like, wait, what? Like, and it's wild because you can never. There's no itinerary. Even though they're like, this is what we want to do. You'll do 100 other things in between. So you're constantly shifting. You're constantly adapting. You're constantly having to like. It's pure chaos in the security world. So with your partner, how valuable do you see you guys being opposite? Like, how much does that help the business? Because I feel a lot of people try to find somebody similar to them because they're going into business, the same thing. They want to have the same, obviously, outlook on it. Yep. But that's not always the best decision to have somebody that it just agrees with you on everything.
No, and we don't. The business, I'm the majority stakeholder in the business. We brought him in after I had taken over from the old ownership, and I really saw him as valuable I am not capable. I won't say I'm not capable. I am not talented at doing any of the things that he's good at, and so I think I looked strategically at that point. I think I was pretty forward thinking to see that, like, hey, I'm going to run into stuff that like I'm not going to be able to either manage or I'm not good at managing it. So I need to find that guy that is that. And I'll tell you what, man, like we have some, our wives kind of joke, like we're like the work married couple. Like we fight, man. We disagree on stuff. Mm-hmm. We're not always on the same page, but he keeps me in check. He keeps me in check with my kind of big ideas. Mm-hmm. And he's like, well, logistically, I actually need to know when we're supposed to be at the, like he does all that stuff, and it is super beneficial. I don't think it could be done any other way. I couldn't have another me. I think we'd probably fight even more because like there'd be so many things that just weren't accomplished.
For sure.
But yeah, I think that's super important. You need to, if you're starting any business, you've got to start being able to look at your own weaknesses. And I have a lot of them. Like the things that I'm really good at kind of they cover those up. But if they weren't being backfilled, like we'd be constantly in a mess. Like I can't write a 20-page proposal and that's not me.
It's good to have that partner that is the opposite.
And he can do the stuff I can do too. He's very different personality wise. He's very quiet, but he does details with us. He's been on tons of them. He's worked for, NBA stars and mayors and governor races. Like he's qualified, not because he has an amazing resume, but he's actually done the stuff. And so it's valuable because he can understand the perspective that I have, and what I'm actually going to need and what the guys are going to need on the ground.
Let's talk clients.
Yeah. The danger zone.
The danger zone. What are your worst when you're getting a client book? What is the worst type of client that you have to deal with?
There's a couple different types. So like I said earlier, we do kind of all of it at this point. Now that decisive action has really taken off, we do literally anything in the security world besides, like, we won't do CCTV installs and all that. We do but anything from asset protection to consulting to like domestic stuff, stalking, executive protection, and all the way down to like your more basic security. We're still high end. Like we're really the only ones that are going to do kind of the guard stuff in any capacity that's in our price range and level. But there's a market for that. Like people are tired of getting some dude with no resume that's getting paid $12 an hour to blow a whistle and fall asleep on shift. And like they want that military guy, that cop, that contractor that knows what they're doing and has been through some stuff, that can actually respond, especially some of these high-end businesses. Like we do distillery work and so when I talk bad clients, it comes across all those different sectors. So a bad EP client, executive protection client, is for us, it's typically going to be your really high profile guys that are not in the ultra wealthy range, but they're rich enough to need security, but insecure enough about their wealth to have to flaunt it everywhere they go. And like, you're almost there as another accessory.
Oh,
kind of like a watch or a car as an accessory. Mm-hmm. You're kind of, and we try to vet that out. That's not always the case. And hey, they're paying the bill. If that's what they want, fine. Like we're here to accommodate. But we do try to vet out, like, is this person going to get us into liability issues? Like we talked the other day about certain types of clients and some, like, you don't want that guy that's going to try to escalate everything and instigate stuff just because he's got somebody big behind him that's going to take care of him. Mm-hmm. I mean, that's probably the worst type on the EP side. And then on the other side, from your consulting to your small businesses and stuff, it's your clients that are spending the least money that are going to bug you the most. They're going to nickel and dime you about everything. They want to, like, really nitpick on hours and like, well, can we shave 30 minutes off here? Like, no, like you're not even giving us planning time. And I think that's the same way across all industries. I mean, that's a common thing. Like your really wealthy people are your least headaches a lot of times because they don't care. It's like, yeah, just make it happen. Whatever the cost is, just make it happen.
Those are definitely the best. The ones that are just come in. What's the price? Cool. Here it is. I want this at X, Y, and Z.
Yep.
And there's no, like, that's the discussion.
Yeah. Like, you're a pro, I'm a pro. So let's just treat each other that way. Like that's how, it's like you said, you're trying to streamline that person's life and their day-to-day. You're trying to add value to it and make things as easy as possible. Standing in the corner with your arms folded, like with your sunglasses on, doing the whole bodyguard thing, like that's like for the movies. We don't do that. Like, we blend. A lot of the stuff that I do is low profile, as low pro as I can be. Like, I'm gonna stick out. You're gonna stick out. Like, I'm not a great low pro guy, but we have some that are. And by the way, like, I am the least on paper qualified to do what I do. Like, I hire guys, like, I hire Green Berets and guys with combat experience, and I try to find dudes that are way better off than I am as far as a resume goes. A lot of people are threatened by that, but man, we've got some guys that have, I mean, we got triple Bronze Star recipients. We got like recon snipers and Marine Raiders, and all this type of background dudes, or just regular military guys that have been in war for the past, decade. And when you're working with a client that can respect that what you're doing and they let you do your job, I think that's kind of the best situation. Like, I hired you because you're the professional.
For sure.
So be the professional. You don't need to stand around and posture. Like, your job is to de-escalate all situations. Like, your Secret Service guys is a great example. I've worked with some really good Secret Service guys on the private side, and I've worked with some really horrible ones, because here's the difference between us. And I've got 3 or 4 that I'm like really good friends with, and we've talked on this. If your entire career is you have been given 300 agents for your principal, you have concentric rings of security all over the place. Like, you can literally go into any city, any venue, and just start telling people what to do because you have a badge. When you get to the private side and you have to start doing all of this without any authority whatsoever as a civilian, like, you better learn interpersonal skills. You better learn how to have some charm. You better learn how to dress. You have to do all these human things that you may not necessarily had to have done before because you had the power of the badge. And so for us, we're looking for guys that can be thinkers. Like, you can't solve everything through violence. In fact, if we get in a gunfight or we have to beat somebody down, like, we've made a couple mistakes most likely, and either way, even if we're 100% in the right, we're probably going to court over it. We're probably going to get sued, and the client's probably not going to be happy. So you need to go into the entire situation with the thought of, hey, we're trying to like back away from the drama. This 90% of the time, the answer is to evacuate.
Well, that's what a lot of people don't understand, because they see the movies and they see the personal bodyguards and shit. Like, if as an EP guy or any situation, if I'm fist fighting or drawing a weapon,
Bad.
Shit has hit the fan, and we made major mistakes at some point. That's how I always looked at it. Like, you see these guys, and you know, I'm sure you've got new guys like, oh yeah, it's just, I mean, I would say the majority of when I was in the field, most of it wasn't even armed. We were just there because these guys would, like, a lot of guys want to go gamble or something, and they're just going to have money on them, and they just want to make sure, like, they're just not going to get their chain snatched or the watch snatched or whatever. So, like, the majority of the shit, you're just plain clothed, just there. And so, like, the fact that, like, the amount of armed to the gills, you got a trunk monkey in the back seat escorting, like, that shit's.
Yeah, it happens once every once in a while. I tell people that all the time. You can go to our website and you can see our goofy video kind of at the bottom. We leave it up. It is not realistically what we ever do.
Yeah.
However, there is a good amount of the clientele that want to know that capability is there. Sure. They want to know that you've got the 3 Suburbans and the 12 dudes and the rifles, and they want to see all that stuff. They want to see it on the video. They want to know you can do it. But I've rarely run into the detail that actually ever looks like that outside of official government stuff. Even the political stuff I do, like. Let's talk political.
Yeah. So you do a lot of mayors, governors.
Yeah.
Was it George Floyd riots? Where were you guys when shit was burning to the ground? When was that?
So the Breonna Taylor thing and the George Floyd thing popped off. I think similar time periods. But we had done that type of thing forever. Like, going back to Ferguson, like. We've worked with every major news outlet, all the cable ones.
What are you doing when you're working with a news outlet? What exactly are you doing?
Holding on for dear life while they want to do the stupidest, dangerous things in the world. Like, they're setting the AutoZone on fire in downtown Ferguson. Let's go get some shots of it and video in there, and they're looting. Like, actually, they might shoot us because you're getting video footage of their face. Let's not do that. So it's counterintuitive to every other type of client that we have. Think about it. Like, These people want good footage of dangerous situations.
Peaceful protests.
Yeah, yeah. And your job is to not put them in dangerous situations. So it's really
I've never
really
thought of
crazy.
it like that. 'Cause
Yeah, it's
I've never
wild.
done the news and any of that shit. But like, so here you are as this executive security expert,
Yep.
and your whole entire life is to get your client off the X
Yep.
and into us. And now you're working for a news station that's running
Yeah.
into fire, literally.
Yep.
Did you ever have any issues? I mean, because it could
was
turn
wild.
it could turn
wild.
immediately.
When you're when you're doing crowd work, like riot, unrest work, and whatever the viewpoint is, whether right or left, the crowd always gets hijacked by the worst people in it. Doesn't matter. Does not matter. It doesn't matter if it's a Southern Baptist crowd. If you get the right agitators in there, like it's gonna turn. I've seen it happen. I've seen crowds turn both on right-leaning news organizations and left-leaning, just depending on the situation. And when it turns, you don't have much time. You have to evacuate quick, because all of that hate is put on you. Like, it's directly on you. You can start to feel the atmosphere change,
Really?
in these large crowds. And so basically Ferguson is one of the ones. I mean, like, they were shooting weapons over the crowd. Like, you could stand here, especially Ferguson 1, because there were two different incidents. So there's Ferguson 1, Ferguson 2. I think one was like when it first happened, and the second one was when we went back a few months later for the verdict. Like, you could stand here with a reporter and they're videoing the crowd, and like right across the street, some dude pulls a pistol out and just dumps a whole mag, like, over the crowd, like, in your direction. No, you're not taking direct fire, but like, these idiots are shooting guns everywhere. I don't think we should be here right now.
And the news are just
And
like,
they're
we
like,
gotta capture this.
Oh, half the time they're terrified too, but they attribute superpowers to you that you don't have. Like, they're like, well, we got you. Well, yeah, dude, like, you do, but there's 10,000 people here and they're shooting at each other. What do you like? All I can do is throw you in a truck and get you out of here. Like, if it's a true situation, like, there's only so many of us. In Ferguson, I think we had like 3 or 4 guys kind of with each news crew. It was subcontracted, so there was all different types of contracting groups there. But yeah, man, like, rifles in the cars. That's one of the ones that was truly that way. Like, there were Suburbans there. There were rifles in the cars. Like, you're looking to get into it.
Were you guys kitted out, or are you not? Are you? What are you wearing?
We had slit carriers under, like, button-up shirts,
Okay.
because I mean the chance of getting hit was pretty high. Like, we had gas masks on a lot of times because they were tear gassing the whole crowd, and like, the news wants to be in the middle of it. They've got their, was it not K-Pot helmet, but yeah, our old Marine Corps issued helmets that blue with press on them, and they got their. And they'll put all that stuff on and like go get as close as they can.
Did you ever watch? Because I mean, obviously the media is our number one problem in this country. Was there ever times where you would see them like putting themselves in situations?
All the time.
Really?
Constantly. All the time.
Like, just to make it look worse?
Both sides, both right and left. And I think they've been outed publicly enough to where, like, this is not a controversial statement. But like, yeah, they all do it.
Really?
Yeah, they all do it. They'll stand and they'll like, oh, we're gonna cover a flood, so they'll go stand. They'll put their waders on and like go stand in a lake and like get flood footage, or if like there's a protest but only one car is burning and like nothing's really going on, they'll like go over to that one burning car and like make it. Everything is for your consumption.
So it's all just theatrics.
Yeah, but I mean, they also happen to put themselves in really dangerous positions a lot of times too. Like, one of the crews wanted to go to the site of a carjacking of a previous crew in Ferguson the night before. Like, we're talking about like the deepest part of Ferguson where the most unrest is. They're like, we want to go get film footage of where they jacked one of this other crew's stuff and then lit their car on fire. Like, oh, well, that's a great idea. We should definitely go right to that scene and start filming it. but that's what they want, and that's their business. In their defense, like
Yeah, I mean,
they're just doing what their bosses said. Like they're trying to get the shot. They're trying to make their money just like we are. And I don't have to agree with their views or any of that stuff. Like it's just a safety thing. Like I'll protect whoever I'm being paid to protect, and most of the time I'll protect people who I'm not being paid to protect. I've done that many times on a detail where something dangerous has happened and I've had to get involved, and I'm not even being paid by the person I'm kind of dealing with. Like there's one out in D.C. We were doing like a big film red carpet festival, and there's some rival gang violence. And some dude pulled a gun out, and like we're just yanking people off the street from this red carpet event and throwing them in buildings and locking doors down to keep people safe, because that's what we had to do. Like we thought these dudes were about to have it out. And I mean, I'm not going to stand there while there's some woman just standing there with her purse and she has no idea what's about to happen. And just snatched her up and put her in the building, shut the door. Like, be a human,
Do good.
With this caveat, and this may be controversial, but I think like a couple guys have said this when talking about like defending your own family versus others in an active shooter environment. If I'm with a client and I'm being paid to protect that client, and a bad situation happens, if I can evacuate that client safely, that's what I'm supposed to do. Like my job is not to go eliminate threats or find the bad guy or any of those things. And that's what a lot of police officers will struggle with in this environment. Is it's bred into them, like get the bad guy, attack the threat. And that's not what our job is. If it puts my client in danger, just like if I were at the mall with Bridget and the 5 kids, like if there's a dude with a rifle on the other side of the mall smoking people, if they're with me, like I'm pulling the gun out and we're backing out of that mall and we're getting in the truck and leaving while we're on 911. Now, completely different situation if I'm by myself.
Absolutely.
Can I live with myself knowing that I have the capability to do something about a situation and didn't do it? No, because that's what I am. My life is to live. Unfortunately, this gift I was given was to be paranoid about everything all the time and then make myself capable of handling anything. So I turned it into a career. So am I really going to stand by if something is, horrible is happening? No, I couldn't function knowing that I did that, but it changes if they're with me, because
100%.
I'm not going to give it a 1% chance that they're involved if I can easily get them away from it.
Yeah, my kids will ask me every now, like we'll see something or hear, something happen and there's a shooting, and they're like, "What would you do, Dad?" I'm like, "We're out."
Yeah, we're
out. I don't need to be a hero. Like and I know people are like, "Oh, it's a coward thing to do." If I'm with my family, like me being a hero is getting them out of there as fast as possible. Yeah. That's where but if I'm somewhere and something pops off and I can help neutralize something, even still, like I'm not going to go and start clearing a fucking mall by myself. But if I can clearly see something and I can intervene, it's who I am and how I'm built. But yeah, like as far as you see these guys all the time, like, "Oh, I'd go running in there, guns blazing." No, you ain't, bro. Like, it's,
yeah, man. The macho, the whole like macho thing is the first thing I look for, in canceling out a resume. Like, if somebody's got that attitude where they're having delusions of grandeur about being a hero one day, and like I don't need that. Like that's just an immaturity thing. Like I don't want to kill people. Like I train for it all the time because I need to have the hard skills. My kids train for it. We'll get into that in a little bit. But like learning the hard skills and being a good practitioner of violence. Like violence is a tool.
Absolutely.
It's a tool. It can be used for good or it can be used for evil. We put all these connotations on it like it is inherently good or evil. It's not. It's just a tool in order to achieve an outcome. And guys that make it into this thing where they they want to use it and they want to get on TV, and they like you've clearly never been involved in that, because if you were, you'd have the maturity to understand that it's not the way to go. Like,
What's it like working for politicians?
I actually enjoyed politicians. Here's why. Not I've had the luck of actually being around some decent politicians.
Really?
And I don't mean saints. I just mean like they treated us well. They were polite. They're professional. The good thing about political figures, as far as work goes, is that they typically have a team around them that is managing details pretty good. They're familiar with security most of the time, and they're professional at what they do, and so they're not looking to put themselves in situations that I would disagree with, because if I'm trying to keep them safe and out of controversy, it's not just my job to protect their body. It's to protect their image, their reputation, all that stuff. So, excuse me, if you've got a client and they're constantly putting themselves in bad spots, like the drugs and the strip clubs and the, like that type of thing, you're trying to protect them from their self half the time. Like it's almost
sure.
And politicians, for the most part, especially when I have them, because I always have them on the campaign.
Got it.
Like if they win a race, the head of their security is now going to be typically a state trooper or somebody part of a dignitary detail or feds or somebody like that. When they're hiring us on the private side, it's because they're in campaign mode, and so they're footing the bill.
Can't mess up anything.
Can't mess up anything. So they're on their best behavior, and they're professional. And like I said, I've protected mostly Democrat clients, and I've had good luck with the ones that I've had. Protected an ambassador, done some foreign ambassadors. Those are the ones that we like, because it's not an easy schedule. They're flying you. They'll put you on a private jet for a 45-minute drive. Like they want you. They have to be so many places so fast that they'll have to utilize everything in the book to knock out as many campaign appearances as possible. And so that can be hectic and tiring.
I can only imagine.
Yeah, and I've been thrown into some weird ones, kind of last minute. I mean, we had one, and I won't go into it. I won't go into it in any detail, but if you dug really hard, you could probably figure out who it is. But one, he's a great guy, and he had some assassination attempts against him before. And we came in after that fact. So at that point, you're already getting a client who, before someone tried to kill them, they had no concept of how dangerous things could be. And you're getting them after someone just tried to murder them. For us, that's kind of as shitty as it is for them. It's good for us because they're going to actually listen to our recommendations. Like,
which they never did.
Yeah, like, because it makes sense. Like, we're both trying to keep you alive and safe, and your family. And so I think you should do this. And like, there's just not a lot of pushback.
Yeah.
And that was a good experience.
What about celebrities, athletes? How are they? Because you mentioned like ending up in strip clubs and wild places. Are they the ones that usually end up there, or is it the rich trust fund kids that you're guarding?
Definitely rich trust fund kids, for sure. We don't get a lot of that type. It's happened in my career. I mean, I've done this for 15, 16 years now, if not more than that. But anyway, the athletes that we've got, I actually have had really good luck with.
Really?
And I won't say any names on camera, but like, I would be comfortable to tell you who they were offline and tell you, like, a lot of them, they're really good people. I've actually got some really chill, like down to earth family type athletes.
Really?
Yeah. And that was surprising to see. Now, you're going to be in the environment where their sphere of people is also interacting with you, and that may not be the case for everyone else in their group or the other players that they're around, and each one has their own security guy and their own apparatus. But yeah, I've been very, very lucky to have some pretty down to earth ones. But yeah, I've had one or two clients, not athletes, but just private people that you wouldn't even know if you named them, that were kind of they were just a mess, man. Like,
why? What makes them a mess?
Just the instigating, the entitlement, not even the entitlement. It's just it's just wild. Like, when you have unlimited resources, I think that does something to people. I really it does. Like,
for sure.
When you can't be told no, like, none of us would do well with that. Like, I'm self-aware enough to know that if you gave me unlimited resources, I would probably make a mess of things. Yeah.
And I'm having a good time doing it.
Yeah.
Because we've all known those guys. And it's insane because, I mean, especially like, I want to use trust fund kids because I've worked for a few of them. I think you and I know a mutual one, but it's just wild. It's insane that how their life is run.
Yep.
And it's hard to even explain the lifestyle.
We talked about this yesterday, and I think more people need to hear this. You do not want that life.
No.
You do not. Be happy with what you have. Be happy with the things that matter. The stuff that you see on TV and the stuff that you see when you're in these environments, it really gives you a perspective shift on what's truly important.
Yes.
Like, you and I are both a product of this industry, and more so just a product of having access to really high net worth individuals, even really good people that we're friends with. I mean, we're both friends with people that have a lot of money. You need to be prepared for the level of problems that can bring, and you need to understand that it's not necessarily something that you want to be a part of. It's not a life. There is nobody I would trade my life with.
No.
Not one single person. And we talked about it yesterday. I've really sat down and thought through that. Like, all the people I know, all the successful people, all the every client, like, is there one of them that I look at and I'm like, I want that? It doesn't exist.
People don't. I mean, because you see the social media, you see the TV shows, you see this life that these wealthy people live. And I'd say 90% of Americans will never truly ever get to spend time around that or experience it. But obviously, in the line of work that you did, what I used to do, we would get embedded in these families and with these individuals that have, and I'm talking wealth of up to billions, where when you say fuck you money, it's, I mean, and you're just dumbfounded. And like you said, like, I've never worked for one or hung out with one or known one on a very personal level where I was like, damn, this dude's living life. Yep. They may look like it, but they're having fun, but the depression, the loneliness, there's nobody around. They're angry all the time. There's always something that they're dealing with, putting out, having to purchase, having to sell, having to move. There's always, I feel like, and I would love to sit down with a billionaire and talk, but like, I feel that the old saying, more money, more problems, is the most realistic quote ever when it comes to that, because I feel rich people, wealthy people, not rich. I feel true wealthy people never have peace. They never have joy. And this is just from my experience of being around them, dealing with them through, and like you said earlier, when you're working for these people as a security detail, you're with them. Like,
you see all of it.
You see you hear the phone calls, you see the conversations they have with their kids, that you see their relationship with their wife, and obviously we're open, we're keen to, like, we have to know everything that's going on.
Yep.
And I've never been like, damn, dude, this dude's thriving.
Yep.
You may have your $70 million yacht parked out front of your beachfront property and your 20,000 square foot house. It's your little summer vacation home before you head out to the next one. And the dudes they've never been happy.
Yeah.
And it was one of those things, and I've talked about it here on the show. My kids, like, it took me a while to realize it, because you always want to compare and, like,
Yeah.
fuck, you sell what? You're worth $900 million because of what?
Yep.
Like, and you think that you're like, fuck, man, like, how? How do I get to that level? But then when you really start breaking down these people that have this wealth, and they got their sponsor, a Ferrari team, and they got their race everything. I mean, you've dealt with it all.
Yep.
None of them have true peace, and none of them have true happiness, man. And I it's sad. And honestly, like, you feel bad for these people, because you start to see who's in their circle. You start to see who's got their back. And I feel a lot of them are very lonely people.
Yeah.
And then you build that relationship with them, because you're just a dude. We're not coming in here if they're mutual money friends, or this guy's coming in because he wants you to invest and all the shit that they deal with on a daily basis. We're just some lonely security guards standing here making sure somebody's not kicking this dude's door in. But then you get to learn these people and who they truly are. And you honestly, at least for me, there was some that are happy, but they're more of the solo guys, just on that party aspect type of things. But, like, there's so many guys that had everything in the world, and they had no relationship with their families, no relationship with their kids. And now that I'm at that chapter in my life where my family and kids are everything, and that relationship's everything, you got to feel bad for them. In a way, it's just it's unfortunate. They've sacrificed everything and have got nothing for it.
Yeah. Yeah. And and like you pointed out, this isn't, I wouldn't say this is an absolute rule. But it's the majority. Like,
Yeah.
There's definitely a couple that I think are very well balanced, and maybe because they actually made their own money going up, and they've kind of seen both sides of it. There are some of those, and it does rarely work out, but it's like any extreme angle or any extreme spectrum of resources. It's like too far one way or another can create very intricate circumstances for you. And I think the devil gives us exactly what we need to hang ourselves
every time.
And if like I said earlier, if you have the ability to literally do whatever you want, resource wise, like, the devil's going to give you all the rope you want to hang yourself with. Mm-hmm. And if you take the bait, you can end up in some dark places.
And it's funny you say that, because, a lot of people look at guys that have everything and be like, dude, that dude's blessed.
And he may be.
Maybe.
He may be doing great. And to generalize and say that he's not, we don't know. But I think the message that you're saying it's valuable, because what I think normal people need to hear the most is that your life and what you have, keep in perspective how important those things are.
Yes.
And don't chase the cartoon character versions of people online. Like, I was looking at my own social media. Like, I haven't posted things in months, but, like, I looked at this thing. I was like, this is literally a snapshot of, like, highlights of good things that I was going through at the time.
Mm-hmm.
They're not seeing the 4 months in between there where I'm stressed to the brink, and, like, the house is destroyed and me and Bridget are fighting, and, like, it's just such BS, and everybody's doing it. Like, I'm doing it, like, we're all doing it. But make sure that when you're looking at this stuff, which it is, you need to take a break from, myself included, you just keeping things in perspective, because it's not the end all be all. It's like, as we get older, the more grounded I get, and the more I want to just disconnect and like get away from it. Not necessarily business or, like, any of that stuff, but just
The social
the noise.
aspect,
Like,
yeah.
my mind is noisy.
Mm-hmm.
My kids, like there'll be times where I'll have to just leave. Like I'll leave the house and go to a buddy's property, and I'll go sit for like 3 days, and I'll fast and I'll pray and I'll do all that stuff. And kids will be like asking Bridget, what's he doing? Like, he's out there talking to God. He's trying to get quiet, because I can't turn all this noise off ever. And I feel like the farther I get in life, the more I yearn for that quiet.
Sure.
I think you're in the same boat.
That's a maturing and aging thing, because now it's like, you get doom scrolling and you're just fed. And then for me, that's the noise. And then it's like, why am I irritated right now?
Yeah.
Why am I snapping over nothing? And then when you really start breaking down, it's like, okay, I'm going to rewind my
What
day.
are you consuming every day?
I'm going to rewind my day. Like, where in today has been going great. No complaints. Everybody's healthy and happy and thriving. Like, why do I feel this way?
Yeah.
Why am I angry? And then I just sat here and watched some dude punch an old lady, then scrolled to the next one, and they're staring down a statue. Here's an American flag burning. We're bombing this people. These people hate these people. This person hates this person because their skin color. And I start breaking that down, and it's just, and then that's all we're consuming. And I watch this, and that's where I'm at that point where the noise, the fog, the everything, it's gone. And that's where we've started this new chapter, and that's where I kind of hope this takes us and everything else we got going. Because I would rather have that chaos in my mind going on business wise, and I would rather be stressing over we just had 40 loaves of bread over proof. Like that's where I'm like that's where I would rather have that stress rather than I'm sitting here and my little one comes walking in and I'm like, what? And why did I just react like that?
Mm-hmm.
Right?
Oh man.
Why do I have this irritation toward my kid that just came in to tell me a story? Yep. Where does that link to? And the only thing I can ever process is my phone. Yep. It's social media, because then I'm looking at this dude that I know is a grade A piece of shit human being. And this dude's posting his pictures of his millions in crypto. He's got a brand new wakeboarding boat, brand new truck, and I'm sitting there and it's like, man, what the fuck? Like, what am I doing? But then you're not seeing everything else that's going on. You're not seeing his whole life fall apart. You're not seeing
fill a hole.
And that's how we now we get this addiction to it, and we have to. And now it's like, especially with the younger generation, they're seeing all these guys that are just driving Lambos. You got to hustle. You got to do this and grind. And it's like, bro, like that's not what's going to bring you true peace and happiness. It's getting away, unplugging, spending time with your kids, praying, talking to God, spending time with your wife. Like that to me, and like that's the chapter I'm at now. And so this is where I've been really like, okay, as soon as we get to the means, I'm hiring somebody that's going to take over all of my social, and I'm out. Yep. Like and that's my next big fast, and just I got to sever the cord with that one, because it is just.
Well, I mean, it's hard for you. It's
and then my whole world revolves
your
around
world. Your business is that. Our business kind of it used to be a lot having to do with that. I mean, we did so much of the weapons and tactics stuff, but once that really shifted, like I don't necessarily need a bunch of Instagram followers to push the business. I have to have somewhat of a presence there, so that just personal branding and things like that, and then the company pages. But like I've let half that stuff die. Like I'm not that guy. Like I don't have an amazing moment with the wife and kids and like think to get my phone out. Now sometimes I do. Like people will see, like I post stories a lot. But like it just doesn't usually occur to me when I'm doing the best in life. That phone is just not even around. You'll see me ghost. See me ghost everything for like 6 months. Like, well, you can be rest assured I'm doing great, because I don't even want to touch the stupid thing.
Nope.
I definitely don't want to post anything.
Nope. And that's where I feel the society gets wrapped up. Like we have to post the perfect portion of our life. And for me, when I'm with the family, we're like sailing, living life. The last thing I want to do is put anything out there, because one, that's our moment. I don't need to share that. And then it's weird, because then more for me is then have these people reach out and they're like, man, I've been following you for years, like this, and they build this image and they build who they think you are through social media. And then like I'll meet people and they're like, man, like I didn't expect any of that. And it's like, yeah, like, cause who you see on social media it's who I am, but you're getting 10% of who I really am. And so, but it's interesting how people will build this image off of like, oh dude, I know bam. It's like, no, you followed me for a long time, but truly know me. Very few people truly get to know inside what's going on inside my family because it's just how I am, but I'll put little things on the social, but it goes for that. It's like people think like, oh dude, you're crushing life, man. You started 2 new businesses this year. It's like, bro,
you haven't seen what it took to get there.
Yeah, you get to see this fucking beautiful little bakery and looks great. You get to see this whole setup. You don't get to see the fighting, me chewing my daughter's ass because she doesn't know what the hell she's doing, and us fighting. And I need a social media manager because she wants to quit. And like that's what people don't. I love you. I would never trade you. Yeah, you're gonna sit here and tell me you haven't wanted to quit a few times. No. Lies. That's just how it is, but it's growing, it's maturing, it's, people don't see that. They don't see the struggles. They don't see what goes into everything. Everything's just a win on social media. And I think more people, especially like myself, need to start putting out the realities of when you fail and fall flat on your face. I mean, dude, Wild Chaos originally, when we launched, it was an apparel brand and it failed. Like it sucked. We had great momentum. Everything was crushing, and it was just shitty timing. And it's like, well, it is what it is.
Next thing.
It is what it is. Like, and I've been part of companies that we've gone all in on and they just didn't work. But people will never talk about it. People don't ever want to talk about their failures. But I look at somebody and it's like, oh, cool. You're worth $50 million. Like we kind of talked about. Oh, you hired out somebody for everything. Well, I don't want to talk to some dude that's worth 20 million, 50 million bucks if he's just going to sit here and be like, well, I hired an expert for this, I want to talk to the dude that's doing 2 to 3 million a year, that's running his sales team. He's answering phones. He's in the field. He's digging ditches. He's doing because he's not at that point yet. Like, cool. That's the dude I want to have a conversation with, because like, how are you making all of that work right now? Cool, Grant. Okay, cool, bro. You sold a company for $100 million. Like, I want to know the trenches. I want to see the blisters on your hands, like that. Those are the dudes that like, and because they're going to be way more honest with you instead of sitting down with some multi-millionaire that I've sat and had conversations with clients like, man, how'd you get to this point? Hire people that did a better job than me.
Take a cold plunge in the morning.
Run and make a cold plunge and do your breath work. It's like, motherfucker, you mean to tell me when you launched your company, that's what you were doing? Yeah. No. You're going through all your emails, you're cold calling, you're trying to get resources and supplies on a cheaper level because you got to buy in bulk. And like, that's what nobody's talking about. It's always, hey, tell me how you sold your company. When did you make your first $1 million? Like, get the fuck out of here. I want to know the guy's like, dude, I'm in the process of making my first $1 million right now. Like, this is what it's taking. This is how I've scaled. This is where I failed. You just don't get that on social. You don't get that a real world aspect. It's all just glamour. Everything's good, but it is what it is.
No, I agree. I think that's why, as much as I want to throw everything out, you can't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I mean, there's been so many people that have reached out, in direct messages and stuff and said like, hey, seeing what you're doing with the kids has been like an inspiration to start homeschooling. Absolutely. And like me and my wife got into fitness because we saw you and the kids like rucking up and down the hill at your house. Like, it's that kind of stuff. If you can somehow make any sort of a difference in somebody that's struggling by showing some of that stuff, it's tough because you're putting effort into it and you're kind of giving up a piece of your own peace of mind and freedom. But do you throw it all out? Do you quit doing all of it? Because you may be a positive influence on somebody that really, really needed it. Mm-hmm. Like, I tell you, man, there's such a hunger out there for for people to find purpose and find happiness, and they're just not, they're getting all the wrong messages on how to achieve that. They're getting all the wrong advice, and it's like, if you've got the ability to kind of give somewhat of a idea of what that looks like, what contentment can be, and you're not showing it and trying to propagate it across other people, I think you're missing an opportunity. So it's tough. It's tough to make that decision, and I don't know what the right answer is. I don't know how much I want to even deal with it. Like, it's like we talked about the other day. Like, are other people's problems really my problems? The Christian good guy that cares about people's side says, take on some of that stuff and try to help, and then this the older I get, there's this other side that's like, you got to let people just be who they are, and let them fall on their face if they're gonna steal from your peace in order to try to fix their same stupid issues that they won't fix. My toxic trait has been for years, I will speak positivity and encouragement into people like nobody's business. Like, if we're friends and you are failing, like you're making no effort to improve, like you just want to stay fat and unhappy and keep talking about the same drama, and you want to blow all your money, and you're constantly just, the guy, like you pick any of your problems. By the way, I've suffered from every single one of those. When you're constantly feeding into that person positive stuff, because when I say my toxic trait, it's toxic in a way. I can see where people can be, and what their potential is, and I genuinely want them to be there. Not always in a purely selfless way. Sometimes their prosperity directly affects me, my business, whatever it may be. But the toxic part is, I'll do all the right things, speak all the right positivity into them, try to help them every step of the way. But then I'll also harbor the worst resentment and disgust when they fail, and when they refuse to make any sort of effort. I'm like, dude, you're like.
Do you think it's because you just care too much, and you see?
But it's also pride. It's like, I know how to fix it. You're being an idiot. I know better. I think there's that too. It's not like there's no purity on my part with it. It's just a trait, and I've really had to start working on, like, hey man, if that's, you can't drag everybody along.
Absolutely.
And people, for the most part, don't change, and that's depressing to hear for someone that thinks like me, because I'm like, dude, you could do it. Like
here's success on a silver platter. Then
so
they just
basic. You won't do anything hard. Like, you've broken your promises to yourself, like, what, 50 times now? We've set this goal, like all these goals for you. You can't do the most basic shit. You can't quit stuffing your face. You can't quit blowing all the money you have. You can't quit, like, cheating on your, like, whatever. Everything that's wrecking your life right now, you will not fix. And I am holding all this resentment because you won't do it. And it's not my place. It's a pride issue. It's not my place.
Yeah, and then you just have to realize, like, dude, it's been several years for me. Like, I don't give any relationship advice, no financial advice. If there's a way that I could connect somebody, because, hey, I got a resource for that. Here's an email. Here's an intro email. That's as far as I go now is connecting people through email. Any connection I could do. But yeah, I used to be that guy, be like, dude, this is what you got to do. And then you sit and you pour hours into people and time and days, and you're helping and mentoring, and then they just go right back. And so I was like, I can't. I'm not.
And it's not fair to them, because they're not where you're at with it. Like, whatever the issue is, like, hey, I don't want to quit. I don't want to quit, like, whatever it is. I don't want to quit being an alcoholic. I don't want to quit, whatever the problem is that you're trying to work with somebody over. And you could fully know how to fix it. Like I said, everything that I just laid out as far as struggles goes, I'm a victim of. Like, I've got experience in most of those, which means I'm an extremely flawed person. And there's so many of the things I have to work on every day. but it's like, just because you were able to fix it or improve it, you're never going to fix it. Just because you were able to improve it doesn't mean that they're at where you're at on that topic. And you've got to stop trying to push them in places that they don't care about being right now.
100%.
Let them be a part of your life, and as long as they're not negatively affecting it, stop trying to save everybody.
Yeah, you can't.
Because you're not their savior.
No. Nope. And I get it. Let's shift to the dad life, dude.
Yeah.
What the hell is it like raising 4 sons?
It's like, everything smells. Nothing's ever clean. There's no quiet. There's no peace. It's like
I thought you were you're gonna drop
you
some
thought I was
like
gonna go really deep.
yeah, you're gonna drop some deep shit. You're like, man, fuck these kids.
Yeah, man. Like it's like animals. Like they are great. They make a house into a home. Like I can go places and it's really quiet and it still like catches me off guard. Like, this is not what life sounds like. Like, life is, I've got one choking the other one out, and the other two are fighting over a toy, and like the dog's barking. Like, that's my life. And I will say one of the benefits of that is I think it has further inoculated me to the chaos.
Oh,
like,
yeah.
Like, dude,
Yeah.
we talked about it. We talked about it a few days ago. The fishbowl analogy, and I'll butcher it. One of my guys gave me this analogy, but like a fish will only, or a goldfish will only grow to the size of its fishbowl. Like, you talk to some people about how stressed out, like they're like, well, this happened and I'm super stressed over it. You can be annoyed with them that they are not capable of managing this tiny little piece of stress. But you need to realize they are living in a completely different reality than you, and comparing the two just makes you into a jerk because they don't have any reference point to what you may be going through. And I think it took a long time to really realize that. Like, my wife, they literally have to touch her or ask her for something all day. Like, she spends all day.
Mom,
yes,
mom,
yes,
mom,
yes.
mom.
And they're crawling on her all the time. Like, she was trying to go to the bathroom, and then like one's sitting on her lap here, and she's feeding one here, and it's just as crazy as all that is. I start to miss it when I'm away from it. Like, even now, we were talking, like, we've been here for 3 days, and it's like, it's just so quiet. And I think so much of like, when you're in it and you're living that life day to day and it's chaos, like, we're very exhausted. Like, we're beaten down quite a bit. We struggle. Like, nighttime comes, like, we want to be together. Like, that's me and her for 15 years. Like, like, we're like this. You know, you were talking about it the other day on one of your other guests. You were talking about how affectionate you and Britt are, and like the kids see that. Like, we're the same way. Like, everything's out in the open for them. Like, they know how into each other we are, and we'll tell them, like, y'all gotta leave us alone. Like, this comes first, and that's biblical, by the way. Absolutely. Like, you all are a biological byproduct of how we feel towards each other, and we love you. But we're going to be here once you're out of the house. So you need to allow us to continue making what the foundation of this whole thing is continue to work. Absolutely. By giving us some space and some time. And,
it's very important.
Yeah, man.
Very important. It comes to time where mom's like, Dad needs mom time.
Yep.
You're on your own. Like that. And that's because I'll feel it if I don't get my time. Like, these little shits are cutting into it. Mm-hmm. No, we're done. Wrap it up.
Yep.
You're on your own, or go to bed. Tuck yourselves in. Like, mom time. And it's not just like, I'm not talking like sexual wise. It's the conversation. Yep. It's being able to talk life, talk business, talk goals, and things like. And that's what I need in my life. That's kind of like one of my love languages. Like I have to have that conversation with my wife every night.
Yep.
And then when these little shits start encroaching on it, that's when I'm like, done. Wrap it up.
Yep.
And I'm only dealing with 2. I couldn't even imagine dealing with a squad like you have. But it's super important because it's like you said, it's biblical. Like if we're not building that foundation and there's something missing with us, then I'm gonna show it.
Yep.
Then if I'm showing it, then the whole house feels it. So it's those simple little things like calm the house down and then have that time. And I feel a lot of people get wrapped up, even with 1 kid or freaking 5.
Oh, the one kid can be worse because the one kid can turn into child worship. And I don't know anyone personally that's that way, but I've seen that like in acquaintances and stuff. It's like, dude, like you really need to have some more so you can realize like you're screwing that kid up with all this worshiping you're doing. Like,
Can't ever
take your wife on a freaking date, man.
It's okay to leave your kid.
Yeah.
Like, it's same that, dude. There's people that do that with their animals.
Yeah, I'm seeing
Their
it.
fur baby. First off, I won't be friends. And this is I'll die on this hill if I am legitimately like know somebody and they say a fur baby, I'm out.
Yep.
That's one of my hard lines where I can't associate. If you're referring and treating an animal as a fur baby, that for me, I'm like, yep, I'm out. Can't do it because I get it. Love your animals, dude. When I put my dog down, it was the worst thing I've ever had to go through. I understand, love them to death, but then you see these people treating it and they're like, we can't leave it alone. It has anxiety when we leave. Your fucking dog. That's like, I'm like, okay, I can't.
This is when we've really truly hit peak civilization. Like we're having dog psychiatrists now.
Yeah. So your boys, man, you're raising them differently than I would say the majority that I see and that I'm around of fathers and how they're raising sons. And I watch religiously on how fathers raise their sons because obviously I'm a girl dad.
Yeah.
And I'm raising my daughters to be able to look for red flags, green flags, all everything in between.
Yep.
And I feel besides the soft dad raising, right? And they're just giving their kids iPads and video games and that shit. There's also this other side where you get these alpha dads that are wanting to raise like little soldiers that have no feelings, no emotion, and this is them. And from what I've seen and obviously watching and knowing you for a while, I feel your wife is involved just as much as you are.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
How is that? And I don't know how to ask the question.
No, I know.
I don't know how to tie
it
it in really, but you're raising your kids as all around men, which I feel the majority of me watching other fathers, it's one or the other. Their kids are little militaristic soldiers or they're just so soft. But I feel you're prepping your kids for life as everything in general.
It's probably the best. You could say you could give any compliment to me or Bridget. That's probably the number one in our heads that you could give is that's the end product that you notice just from what you can see. And so I do appreciate it.
Absolutely.
I'll say this. I totally agree with you. I think you can go either direction with it too far. And I think we'll start with the hard side. Yeah. We do stuff that people think is crazy. Like the boys all shoot. They train very often with like live weapons from like the start. They start when they're like 5 years old, and then by the time they're 11 or 12, like my oldest is, I mean, he'll be shooting our company's qualification just to be a part of DA probably within the next 2 years, which is harder than any law enforcement qual. Maybe not some of it's probably on par with some of the federal quals. He's a very good shooter, like very in tune with what to do. All the kids take jujitsu. they're learning they're learning to do hard things. Very intentional about, you may not want to do this, but I feel that these are life skills that you need to have. You need to be able to protect yourself. You need to be. It's like all this stuff. You need to be able to change a tire and like,
Yeah.
you know, all those things. All are important, but I feel like a lot of fathers are kind of missing the boat on how to get a kid interested in things that are like adult things. And so we mainly make them do stuff.
Absolutely.
And people look at that and they're like, well, that's crazy. Like, you make them go to jujitsu? Like, yeah, that's a non-negotiable. Like, they're gonna do that because I believe it's a life skill. It being able to fight in that way is completely a life skill. But by the way, that's 10% of it. Like, the rest of it is the discipline and the way you carry yourself and the confidence and the great examples that they have at that school of men that can practice violence and also mentor young children at the same time. It's like the whole warrior poet thing, and like that whole mentality of making your kids hard and making them do hard things, that's kind of getting more popular again. I think we're getting pushback from all of the soft parenting that the last generation went through, and the poor results that gave us. But my main intention with all the crazy stuff we do, like for instance, some people get a kick out of, like, we make the boys, for reference, we have our oldest is 12, and then I really start to lose track at that point. It's like 12, 8, 4, 2, and then Vera, our daughter's like 8 months now. Anyway, we make them ruck march with us. We wear plate carriers, and they wear Kevlar helmets. They carry their rifles. They wear like 20 something pounds on their back. Like, we make them go do that. And people are like, "Are your kids okay? Like, are they gonna? Or like, do we need to check on you all?" Like, yeah, they're fine. They're fine. And because we make them do hard things, they're gonna be better for it as adults. But then you also have the mentorship side and the being able to hug the kids on a daily basis. I hug them. I hug them all the time. I tell them I love them. I tell them what specifically I'm proud of them for. What character attributes that each of them have, because they're very different.
Oh yeah.
That I appreciate, and we definitely talk spirituality with them. We pray with them at night. Bridget's kind of she's always been the rock of raising the kids. She's homeschooling them. She keeps them on track. She manages like everything, so that I can kind of do what I need to do. And I kind of step in and give them life lessons, and especially with the boys, they just need the mentorship.
For sure.
But it's like you said, it's very balanced. Like, you can't raise, and no shade against Andrew Tate, but like, that's the like cartoon character like example of what I think going too far in the other direction is. Like,
He preaches a conservative life and
yeah, like
stay-at-home wife, but he's on the far end.
yeah, like get rich, buy Lambos, bang women, like all that kind of stuff. That's not what I want. Like, what I want is for them to be very well-rounded, but hardened, capable men who will choose a wife like I chose, that will build them up and be their quiet place, their spiritual partner, that helps them make good decisions.
Helps
and makes
them through
them,
life.
yeah, like that is the partner, the person you're supposed to be closest with. Like, the best lesson that we can teach them, and I'll say this hands down for anyone, like, the best thing that you can do for any child, I am convinced, boy or girl, is show them, not tell them, but show them what a good relationship, marriage relationship looks like. Like, you were talking about sex and affection earlier. Like, some things, like, we're Christians, very, very, very much Christians, but we don't hide stuff from our kids. Like, They know what we're doing all the time. I come from the 90s, the most repressed, like, just crazy era. Like you couldn't even bring up the word, like, let alone imagine that your parents did it. In contrast to that, like, my kids definitely know what's going on. They definitely see us grabbing each other all the time. Like, that's
healthy. I feel
it's healthy. Like, so I've seen the end result of the other way. Like, it's people getting married and feeling guilty for what their desire is for their spouse and not knowing what to do, and like, or going crazy off the other end where they're like, well, I've been so repressed that I'm just going to go like get a crazy body count because I've been told I'm not supposed to have sex with anyone. There's no balance in anything anymore. And so I'm trying to, who knows if I'm right? Like, do any of us as parents actually know what we're doing works until the end result comes?
I look at it, but Britt and I ask ourselves that all the time. Like, are we making the right decision? And I don't want to say we question ourselves, but there's
You should.
There's question, there's doubt. But then when you see your child in and around their own peers in the same age groups,
There it is.
and your child is standing out in all the positive ways, then I'm like, okay, we're good.
Results matter, man.
It's like you said it earlier, how you force your kids to do things. It's not an option. You're doing this. I forced her into starting a martial arts. She, no desire. I was like, I don't care. You're going to do this for 30 days. You're trying it. I don't care. Yep. You're doing it. Fuck, 3 world titles later.
Yep.
And I feel now a lot of these parents are like, oh, Timmy's really not feeling it. I don't give a fuck if Timmy's feeling it. He's going to try this out because he's just sitting here getting fat, eating Doritos all day, playing Minecraft. That's a better option than forcing your kid to go and try something. And I'm not saying if they absolutely hate it, to continue them to do it, but also at the same time, you're not just going to try it a few weeks and he's not going to like it, because there is a groove, there's a learning curve. As with her, I was like, you're going to give me 1 month and we're going to dedicate 1 solid month. You're going to go every day that we can, and we're going to see how we like it. If not, then we're going to try something else, but we're going to be doing something. And dude, like, loved it. And that was because we forced them to try new things. One of the rules in our house from day one of having young children, you're going to try everything when we're eating dinner. You're going to try it. People hear that, they're like, that's so fucked up. Or we go places, my youngest is like 7, and she's like, I want the salmon platter, the plank, and oysters. And I'm like, all right, fucking chill out. You know, but then when I'm sitting with another family, and their kids are like, I want buttered noodles and chicken nuggets.
Yep.
And I'm sitting there like, this, and then my wife,
and
then my wife and I look at each other like, this is why, because we'll go places, and there's been so many times where I'll sit down, because we're foodies, man. Like, now we're cool. We order everything. We're good with it. But when they were younger, it's like, I would order something like, that's gross. I'm like, when did you try this? Well, it's just like, sushi's the perfect example. When I talk to an adult and they're like, I hate sushi, I'm like, well, where have you had it? I've never had it.
Cool.
Like that's, to me, that's the most ignorant shit. So when we've raised our kids, like, hey, try a bite of this. And there's been, when they were younger, there were so many times where like, nah, that smells gross. No, I don't want to try it. And then they try it and they're like, oh wow, it's great. It's like, cool. Now you know you like it. But then obviously as they've grown, we don't even offer anymore. It's just they're ordering new things because they want to try new things, because we force them to try new things to get them outside of that bubble. Because I feel as people, and when you have a child and you allow them to put themselves in a little bubble where they're like, I don't want to try it. No, I'm good. I'm not hungry. I don't give a fuck. Try it. Come here.
You're screwing them.
You're screwing them as they get older, because then now you have this young adult and into an adulthood where this kid, I actually used to have a guy that worked for me. I'll tell you who it was later. We would go places on these security gigs, and we're eating at some of the nicest restaurants. We're in Vegas for a while, and we're eating at like we were eating at all the buffets. This motherfucker would come back with cheese pizza. I'm like, bro, there's a pile of king crab. I don't like crab. Like, you're not gonna try it? No, I don't like it. I'm like, you're eating literally cheese pizza at like this gourmet buffet that cost me $200 a head to get in here. You're going and getting Jello and cheese pizza. Like that always scared me. Like I didn't want to raise one of those adults. And so forcing your kids to try to do things, even if they fight it, force them to do it, because you never know the outcome. Cool, you're a couple months in and they still have that same, I absolutely hate this, want nothing to do with it. Transition to something else if that's the case, but give it time and watch how your kid will just excel and start to adapt to what they're doing. They learn the coaches, they learn the program, they learn the structure, the routine, the discipline, and then it just becomes life for them. And then now they're putting their uniform on, they're tying their own belt, they're ready to go, because now they're able to, like, they're going to start testing for their next belt, or they get a competition, or they win something. And it's like, those are the little things that get your kids to get outside of that box. And I see so many parents, they're just like, oh, he's really not into it. Why? Because they had a bad day at practice and it was a shitty a game, and then now the kid wants to quit.
Well, and one of the there's the dad and the mom, side of things too. I think when kids are young, the nurturing, mothering side, you have to have good balance there. Like me and Bridget had to talk through, like, look, I need you to stop giving them so much attention when they get hurt, or I'm not saying be dismissive, but like, let's try to stop reacting this way. They're like, my kids are like, they're literally choking each other out. They're falling on their face and bleeding everywhere. Like, we just took everything down. Like, we're going to start embracing some of this hardship stuff, and you're going to have to be a little less of a mother, because we see the negative impacts of what happens if you overdo it in that department.
For sure.
And she, to her credit, was like, I actually completely agree with you. Like, you need to father them and I need to mother them. And I need, at a certain point, I need to start backing off and letting you guide them the way that you're biblically supposed to be doing it, and just the way that you're supposed to do it as a good man that's setting an example for them to follow. And she successfully kind of overcame some of those things, and we're still trying to figure it out. But I think just balance has been kind of our way of going about it, and being honest. And the other big thing that I think is important, and my parents taught me this. I was a bad teenager. I mean, I was selling weed and doing the whole like that thing. Like, thought I was cool. My dad would constantly say to me, he would say, "I'm praying for you. You are a good boy. You are acting in a bad way." He would constantly reinforce that I am someone he's proud of. I'm good. I am not the actions that I'm showing right now. I am something better, and I'm not living that out. And that reinforcement, like, I screwed up all the way. I mean, into my mid-20s until I really became an adult, and I would always go back to that. And so I use that with our kids. It's like, you're acting horrible right now, but this isn't who you are.
Yeah.
And we're a unit. Like, this is a 7-member impenetrable unit. Like, you all will take care of each other. You will support each other. You will support this marriage. We're all going to work together to make things work the way that they need to be. And each and every one of you is an important part of that. And you're all valuable. Even when you're acting awful, I want you to know that you can always come back from that. And not getting too bogged down into how bad they may be at any given point, because they're kids. Like, they're going to drive you nuts, man. Like,
they don't know.
They're just not emotionally mature people. I mean, 90% of adults aren't emotionally mature, and you expect a 4-year-old to understand why their need for constant attention is annoying to you. Have some patience, and that's a battle. I mean, that's a battle we're fighting every day. We have not mastered that. Like, we still scream at our kids and lose control, and like, we are not the people that are ready to write a book on parenting. But when you see our kids interacting with other people, especially speaking to adults, like that kind of thing, that's when I can really sit back and be like, okay, we at least have not like firebombed this whole thing. Like we're at least not on the road to destruction as of right now.
Yeah. And it's one of those things, like like we kind of said earlier, you just, are we doing the right thing? Are we not doing the right thing? But then you get those little signs of like validation that you are, and it's like, okay. And then, but that's parenting. But I feel it's having that structure. It's setting the kids in a direction, especially because you're homeschool guys too. I mean, we're hardcore homeschoolers. I will die on that hill that
I can't deprogram 8 hours of nonsense. Like if I was a perfect parent, I don't have time. I don't have enough time to unwind all the crap that they're learning out there. Like me and Bridget, we were laughing about it the other day. Our kids, like, were the stereotypical homeschool kids in this one situation we were in. Like, we looked over there and Silas has got on like a shirt that's 5 sizes too big, rain boots, and like Ninja Turtle pajama pants, and like the other one's wearing a cowboy hat and no shirt, and like these kids don't even understand what cool is.
Yeah.
And Bridget was like, I love that. Like, they have no idea. They don't have phones. Like, Gunnar got a flip phone that I give it to him whenever we're like apart so he can call me, and like he's so much different than any other kid because they just want to scroll. He's like, my phone just opens and has numbers on it.
Mm-hmm.
Like
it's fascinating because you're and then as they get older, you'll start to see when the junior high school sets in and how toxic, truly toxic that environment is.
Yeah.
And then when your kids are coming back, and obviously, with our oldest, she's involved with an incredible youth group, and then so her clique is from kids all over the valley. So then she gets to experience all these different schools and environments and games and sports and things like that. And just listening to her talk, and she's like, "How these girls are." It's just it's sad what kids are having to go through now. Like, I don't. I remember it was like, I even had a buddy that had an anti-bullying organization for a while, and everything's anti-bullying, and now it's like,
I think we went too far in that direction.
well, I'm just talking. I mean, we could use some good old school bullying, but now it's like, bro, these kids, like, they're getting just crucified for everything, and it's gone.
Kids are brutal.
Kids are horrible.
They're
and
brutal.
it's all a social status, and now they have their little burner Snapchat accounts and all. It's like, what the fuck? And that's what our kids are not our kids, but this generation is worrying about, is their snap streaks and their popularity. But then when you have this homeschool kid, they're like, I'm going to go play outside, and I'm going to play with my toys, and I'm going to go explore, and I'm going to help do this. I'm going to be involved in the business side of things. And it's a completely different world. And I know I always have mixed emotions on when I post things on homeschool, because not everybody can afford it. Not everybody. And it's a lifestyle.
Not for everyone.
And it's not for everybody. And we were those people. I never thought it would ever be for us, but we made major sacrifices to be able to do that. But then when you see your kids in real world environments and situations, and you see how they react compared to other kids or their friends, you're like, okay, it makes it so worth it because they're home. We're able to put different stresses on them. Not, oh, this girl hates me and she's talking and smearing my name around school, and then now that's all your teenage daughter is fixated on. She's not focused on anything except for this girl that is just making up all these lies. You see it all day long, but instead mine's like, hey, we want to develop this, or hey, I have to go edit this video and we're going to get the next episode ready. Those are like the stresses that I would rather put on my child as she's growing and developing business wise on our oldest, even our youngest. She's like our little product development. And her mind is, okay, if we sell it for this, our margins are here, then we get to make more of a profit. And this is a 10-year-old, right? But then you have a 10-year-old that's going to a public school and they're learning absolutely nothing. And so that's when we're like, okay, we're good. We feel good because our kids' stresses are learning business, learning a new program, developing something, the stresses of, hey, we got to get this thumbnail made for the new episode. Like, that's where I would rather have her stresses there. And some people are like, well, good luck in the real world. But at the same time, this is the real world.
That's total BS. I love that you said that. And sorry to interrupt you.
No, you're good.
That's what our generation of public school versus homeschool said, and I was the guy that said it. I was the one like, good luck. Like all of our friends from church were homeschooled. Like, you guys like have no concept of what reality is because you're not at school with us. Like, we know, I'm the complete opposite now. Like, you guys are living in this crazy, like, you're completely detached from where we're supposed to be, and you're living in all this nonsense. It's completely the opposite. And it took me having kids to finally figure it out. Like, well, good luck. Your kids aren't going to be normal. Like, well, I've seen what you all consider normal, and I'm glad to say they won't be that.
Yeah, well, and at the same time, it's like, oh, homeschool kids are weird kids.
Good.
Weird kids come from weird parents. Shitty kids come from shitty parents. If you're active, involved, out in the public, you're doing things, and your kids are homeschooled and doing that, that's how your kids are going to be. If you're these weird people and you lock yourself in the house all day and you got weird kids because it's all they're consumed around, yeah, you're going to have absolutely weird kids. But at the same time, it's like when you say, oh, good luck when your kids are in the real world, they're in the real world all day.
They're interacting with adults, and like so the real world is a building full of people that are all the same age being spoon-fed propaganda all day long
by the government.
Yeah, like that's
by a program that has been developed to create factory workers, which is all proven. This is the craziest part when that people, I feel bad for people when they come at me and try to attack me for homeschooling. And I genuinely feel bad. And I don't feel bad for the people who are like, must be nice because you can't afford it. Like,
because that's the thing, man. Like, if you don't have a stay-at-home parent, like we could not do it if it was not for Bridget.
We couldn't do it if it wasn't for Brit. Brit made major sacrifice. She walked away from her real estate career. She said we knew it. Yeah. Take a huge hit. But the product that we're putting out, it's worth it to us. I want my kids to be able to leave one day and be like, okay, as a father, we're never going to be, especially when your daughters are leaving and they want to start their new life. Like, you're always going to have that worry, but they have the business mindset. They can talk to anybody. They can walk in a room. I mean, for crying out loud, dude, we work these little farmers markets, and I just stand back. Yeah. I help set up. I'm there. That's the wife. She's out of that. That's my role with the homeschooling, and I'm running the business side of things when we do these things. Dude, I'm watching these two girls sit there, and they're slinging bread and cookies, and they're laughing. They got customers that are coming back and looking for flavors and asking all these questions, and I'm sitting there like, this is the product I want to put into the world. I want to be able to put a kid, raise a young adult, and send them off into the world one day where they can go and sit down in a job interview and crush it. And I tell her, I'm like, Chrissy, we're gonna have an intern working for us soon that goes to BSU, and you're a fucking homeschooled high school kid. Gonna have a college intern working for you.
That's awesome.
I'm like, do you not see the different paths? Because, and I'm not knocking, I'm not throwing shade on anybody's direction of life that they want to go, but I'm like, this is the direction that we're choosing for you because this is setting you up. Like, you're having college kids work for a high schooler that's running what you're doing now and growing what we're growing at your age, instead of you going to college, getting yourself in debt, going and getting some degree that you're never even going to use in your field, and then you're going to try to figure out life then. I'm like, let's figure life out as best we can now. I'm using air quotes for you listening. You're never going to figure life out, but let's get a direction dialed now. And so that way, when you do fly the nest one day, you're already pointed in a direction, and cool. Then wherever that leads you, that's up to you, because that's your life, and those are the chapters you're going to have to build on your own. But for us as parents, in this whole homeschooling, man, it's been the greatest decision that we have ever made. And I've never met, and it might come, but I have yet to meet parents that have pulled their kids and been like, we regret everything.
Never happened. I've never seen it.
And I've gone through hundreds and probably thousands of messages, like on TikTok when these videos go wild about homeschooling. Nobody's ever been like, we made the worst decision ever pulling our kids. I've yet to have anybody ever, and there might be some out there because they just can't handle their kids, maybe finances and those circumstances, but I have yet to have anybody tell me that pulling their kids out and homeschooling them and raising them the way that you're able to raise your children, I've never had anybody tell me they've regretted that decision.
Yeah, man. I tell Bridget all the time. She'll get down on herself over stupid stuff with parenting. Like, babe, like you're seriously telling me that you're upset with yourself because you didn't get to spend this amount of personal time with this specific kid. Like, I need you to take 2 big steps back from this and look at just on a timeline. You are ahead of the game already because you are spending literally in those formative years from one, I can't remember what it is. I know it's up through 12 and you're kind of like who you are at that point, at least the main parts. Like, they're going to be with us that whole time. We have the opportunity to influence what they want. And yeah, I'm absolutely going to take advantage and influence them exactly the way I want. That's my right. I made them. They're not the state's.
Yes.
I will train them to mentally hate authority, try to buck it in every way.
Question everything.
Yep. If you tell me something is the case, you better tell me why, and you better explain it to me, and it better make sense, or I'm not believing it.
Yeah.
And you better be combative against
us.
it.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I'm not saying question authority, but fucking question it.
Yeah.
I had a guy, this was really sad. I had a dude message me. He's like, you mean to tell me you pulled your kids out of public school so you can indoctrinate them?
100%.
Yeah. And I responded, yes.
100%.
We have our beliefs, and it might be different than the house next door. It might be different but our beliefs are better than what your kid is getting fed at a public school that is ran and built and directed by the government. So this guy comes at me and trying to attack me like, oh yeah, so you can indoctrinate your kid. I'm going to indoctrinate my kid to know God. I'm going to indoctrinate my kid to not trust the government, to question everything. If it doesn't make sense, why doesn't it make sense? Like, yeah, that's how I'm going to indoctrinate my children. And it's my right to do so. What's the old saying? What Caesar said, you send your kids off to the Romans and expect them to come back.
Yep.
Then you wonder, like, if you wonder why there's so many problems and these kids are in the stresses and the depression and the suicidal thoughts and all the shit. And meanwhile, her stress is like, because I want to fucking give me my clips. Give me my clips. That's her. Where are my clips? And then she's like, that's. But I'm like, you don't have to worry about any of this shit, and I'm fine with that. If that's how we want to raise our children, be fit to love their family, to love God, and to love their country, question everything. Cool. Yeah, you can call me whatever you want. I'll take that path 100% of the time.
Yeah, man. You have a great opportunity to make your own kids this well-rounded. It doesn't mean they're going to turn out great. What it does mean is you have the most opportunity to influence that end result,
sculpt that child.
And there's nothing you can do that beats that. It's like we said before, and it's a powerful statement, but your children are the only thing that you can take to heaven with you. They're the only thing. When you realize that, and you understand that none of the stuff matters, none of the status matters, none of the success, any of it, in comparison to that, you'll really start thinking through what your priorities are.
Absolutely.
And I did not always prioritize my kids like I do now. I was not a great dad for the first couple of years. I wasn't bad. Like, I wasn't abusive. I was just not, I wasn't tuned in. Like, she was doing all of it and I wasn't really involved. Like, I was working on the business and I was just being lazy and, just kind of being a piece of shit. And like, I had to grow up and turn 30 and become a man. Like and that's when it kind of clicked for me. It happens for different people at different times, but I think now just having that realization that they are, aside from the marital relationship, which is most important, aside from your spiritual relationship, the kids are the next thing down, and there's no amount of effort I won't put into doing it right.
Yeah.
While I have the opportunity, because you don't know how long you got.
Yeah. And it's crazy when you really think about it, on a religious side of things, you saying that statement, like that's because you always hear, you can't take it with you, can't take it with you. And they're right, but your kids you can bring with you to heaven by preparing them and setting them up with a relationship. And they're going to go through their times. I mean, you were raised in a religious household. I'm a pastor's kid. I fell way off that wagon for a long time. But when you start getting back into it, and then you start realizing that a home that is led by a father that believes in Christ, the amount of children that'll follow and how healthier it is. And I think I don't know if we talked about it, but even that statistic said that couples that pray together, less than 1% of couples that pray together divorce.
Yeah.
And dude, we've talked about it. You know me, you know me long enough. Like, dude, I was a piece of shit for a long time. Like, I'm proud of things, and I wasn't checked in, and where I am now as far as husband and father. Like, dude, I'm a completely different person than I was even 5 years ago, let alone 10. And so, but once you start going down that path and really just starting to dig into the faith side of things, God, dude, it changes so much, and it just the way you feel, the way you process, the way I carry anger, all of it, man. It's just, it's wild of like, and you fight it for so long. And my wife, she,
wrestle with God.
It is a wrestling match. And there's days where it's incredible, and there's days that I fight it. And then when I fight it and we end up praying at night, and it's like, I'm like, why am I fighting this? Like, it feels so good afterward. I get to lead my daughters. They get to see what I feel a true man is by leading the household as far as religious side of things, and as far as just being the leader of a household. It's all built into one, to have that true identity, I guess, I want my daughters to be able to look for one day. And it's
because they're gonna marry. I mean, they're gonna look for someone to marry that is that. I mean, there's nothing more important than that. You don't want her to be calling you because she married this old version of you.
Yeah.
One day, like, hey, he's whatever your hang-ups are, what makes a bad husband, or a bad choice. Like, if you can get ahead of all that just by showing them what it looks like, they're gonna pick that. Like, they totally pick that. I've seen it so many times. I mean, you can look at anyone that you're around, and you can see like the how they were brought up and what the father was like. In most cases,
was he involved? Was he out of the picture? In the picture? Yeah.
In 100%. Most cases, and like I said, I say that because I do know like, I had great parents, and I was a total shithead whenever I was a teenager. I don't even know how that happened. I attribute it to horrible friends at school, and being too weak to like say no to stupid decisions.
Peer pressure.
Yeah, man, it's there's nothing more important than what we do for these kids in the next generation.
Yeah. It's scary. It's really scary, and how addictive all the games, the platforms, we battle it, and it's hard. It's really hard to be a good parent. It takes a lot of work. It takes a lot of time. It takes a lot of patience. And I feel it's so easy to just give a kid an iPad. We're at dinner. And it's tough because, you're juggling a freaking little fire team, and they got kids climbing over booths and under tables and eating gum off of shit and coming up with things. But that's the moment where You got to snap it, and it's like, no, I'm not going to just be like, hey, here's an iPad, watch this real quick, shut up. Mom and I are talking.
It's the easy button.
That's the easy button. But instead it's correction, you know, over and over and over again, especially for boys because they just process things so differently.
Yeah.
Then it starts to dial in. I mean, I'm sure you look at your 12-year-old now and you look at your 5-year-old, you're like, thank God we're at this stage.
Dude, my 12-year-old's like, he's like the platoon sergeant, man.
Yeah.
Like he will totally get the others in check. Like, and it's crazy how they start to police themselves. And then the next one down is like the best at managing the babies because he's caring, and so you got the two of them like teeing off against the little three to help us out. Oh, it's great.
And it's fun. And then you get to learn your kids on such a different level. I think that's one of the biggest wins for having your kids home all day for homeschooling is that how in depth you get to learn each personality, each behavior, their strengths, their weaknesses, what flips a switch, what it kills it. And you don't really think of that when you hear, oh, we homeschool our kids, and you just think, oh, you got the little house on the prairie and they're turning butter and all that bullshit, and you got some weird kids at home. Dude, you get to learn your kids and who they truly are, how they learn, what they love, what they're into on just so much more of an in-depth, like just detailed way because you would have a school raising them. You got teachers that have them for 6, 7, 8 hours a day. You got bus rides. You got so by the time you're actually getting home and spending quality time with your kid, you got a few minutes a night with them. But instead, when they're home and you get to come home and you're around it, it's those little things, and you get to see like this one's more of a nurturer, this one's more crazy, and they all have their own personalities, and that's what I love the most is learning your kids on the next level. And you would never think about it though, you know, when you
wouldn't have time. You wouldn't have time to think about it.
And you just go through the groove and you send your kids off, and great. I mean, I'm not knocking it, but if you do have that chance to get your kids home and you're with them all day, you get to see
it's fun
who they really are. Then you're like, okay, like these kids they're way cooler than I thought.
Yeah, it's exciting too.
Really is.
Keeps you young. Yeah, it keeps you in shape. Say that, like, me and Bridget we have to lift and stay in really, really top shape just to manage life.
Oh boy,
they're exhausting, man.
I bet you it's a blast though.
Yeah, it is. I wouldn't trade it for anything.
Hell
like
no.
I said, nobody's life would I trade it for. I think that's success right there. That's my
100%. You're blessed, man.
I think we both are.
Oh, we are. I wouldn't trade it for the world.
Yeah.
Well, dude, this is a great conversation.
I'm sure it'll continue.
Absolutely. I appreciate you coming out and having this conversation. It's been a while to catch up, but I'm glad to see who you are as a father, who you've become as a father.
Appreciate it.
I know it's not easy, and you're gonna have your hurdles and your ups and downs, but you know I'm sure there's a lot of other people that are watching you, and especially when it comes to raising young men, I think it's a challenge these days for both men and raising young men and women. We got the world against them. We got the secular side of things and just how they're pulled and what it takes to be a true rounded young gentleman. I think you're doing it right. And I want to let you know that I'm proud of you, and it's cool to watch you and your wife and what you guys have built and this little squad that you got running around all over the place. So thanks for coming out. Thanks for joining. And I appreciate the conversation, man.
Yeah, bro. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, dude.
Enjoyed it.
It was awesome.